Alrighty, we should be live. Hold on, I have to pull up the Twitch. Alright, bet. Let's check out the Twitch. Let's see what's going on. Make sure the audio's good. Make sure the audio's good. Make sure the Okay, yeah, it's good. It's good. Okay, it's good. Okay. What is up, Twitch? What is up, YouTube? We gonna be reacting to some money videos today. You know, just a casual. Damn, I don't even know what day it is for real. Friday, casual Friday. Yo, got you. Alright, I think I am good. Oh my god. I got kiwi stuck in my throat. Alright, bet. Oh my god, about to die. Why is it taking so long for... Okay, there it is. So why is it taking so long for my camera to connect? Alright, so today we're gonna be watching why video game prices don't make sense anymore. Let's lock in.
The earliest days of video games, pricing wasn't just inconsistent, it was downright chaotic.
I'd like an Atari 2600 system, please, and everything that goes with it.
Everything? You sure you want everything?
I want everything.
When the Atari 2600 released in 1977, games like the best-selling Space Invaders were priced between $30 and $40. Not bad, right? But adjust that for inflation and you're looking at over $100 today.
Wait. You're telling me the first Atari game would have been $160 in today's money? Hell no. No, but it is crazy how game prices have changed over the course of years. Well, because that's because of obviously team sizes, right? And then obviously, you know, how much resources it takes to make the game. But games nowadays some are just way too overpriced.
Weren't epic RPGs or immersive sandboxes, they were arcade ports, often with a single screen and a looping sound effect. That was the standard. As consoles evolved into the 8-bit and 16-bit generations, pricing didn't get more reasonable, just more confusing at first glance. The average Nintendo or Super Nintendo title hovered around $40 still, but the range was wild. Castlevania might go for $45, while Final Fantasy VI or Secret of Mana could hit $70 to $80 at launch, or roughly $170 in today's money. So what made these early games so expensive? First off, the market was small. The home console and PC space in the 80s and early 90s was nowhere near the juggernaut it is today. Arcades still dominated. Console games were a risky investment, and high prices were one of the only ways to turn a profit in a market where a lot of players weren't even buying games at full price. Used and rental markets were massive. But the biggest factor came down to the hardware inside the game itself, the cartridge. Unlike today, where games are just files on a disc or a digital storefront, back then each game came on a custom-built PCB, ROM chips, save batteries, and in some cases, special processors like the Super FX chip used in Star Fox to allow better 2D and 3D capabilities. Imagine if every time you bought a game, it had a mini SSD built into it. And these weren't cheap to produce. Once a publisher...
Oh hell no. Those goddamn semiconductors are working their asses off.
Printed, say, 500 copies, they were stuck with them, whether the game sold or not. Manufacturing mistakes were costly, and storage added another layer of risk. To make things even more locked down, Nintendo controlled the cartridge pipeline. After the 1983 video game crash, caused by a flood of low-quality titles, Nintendo implemented a strict quality control and retained manufacturing rights and licenses. That decision gave them control, but it also kept prices high for years. But that's a story for another day. And even when the games hit the stores, it wasn't over. Retailers had a leeway, so a game that costs $50 in one store might be $65.
Yeah, because they have to make profit too. It's the same thing with like Apple and like all the crazy lawsuits that happen with Apple. How like Apple gets a cut, and then you could like pay for something on the Apple Store, and if you went to the company's website, it would be $10 for that subscription. But if you went to Apple, they need like an 8% cut, and then it would be like $20 instead of the normal $10. It's the same thing with Twitch. When you like subscribe or get bits through Twitch, it's better to do it from Twitch instead of doing it from Apple, because Apple will get like a cut. It's crazy. But yeah,
dollars in another without a sale. And during holidays, or due to how popular a title was, prices could skyrocket due to simple supply and demand. In the end, the only consistent rule was inconsistency. So yes, game prices were all over the place, and sometimes painfully expensive. But there was a reason for that. Cartridges were complex, the market was small, and the logistics were brutal. There was a justifiable business logic behind those numbers, which is exactly why the argument that modern games need to cost more just because of inflation doesn't really hold up. So why are prices increasing so dramatically now in such a short period? The answer isn't as simple as games cost more to make. It's far more deeper than that, ranging from live service games to AAA industry collapse, to a whole web of lies, manipulation, and deceit. But to find it, we have to continue the story and rewind to a major turning point, a tiny silver disc that would change everything.
Sony.
By the mid-1990s, video games were about to undergo their first true pricing revolution, the CD-ROM. When Sony entered the console market with the original PlayStation in 1995, they didn't just change how games were played, they changed how they were made, how they were sold, and how much they cost. PlayStation games weren't running on expensive cartridges, they were burned on compact discs, which cost only a few cents to manufacture. Suddenly, publishers weren't gambling millions on custom ROM chips. They could mass-produce games quickly, cheaply, and with far less financial risk. And Sony didn't stop there. They also brought something the industry desperately needed: price standardization. Most major PlayStation 1 titles launched at $50 or $55 or even less, a level of consistency that had never existed.
Oh, and then like that's where like the whole $60 for a game or $60 for a controller really started. It really started from them. So like our $60 for them were like $50, and then over the course of years of inflation and obviously other things, making games and companies being evil, it turned into $60, and $60 became the standard. And now they're trying to do what is it, $80 now? $80. Yeah. Nah, not happening. Nah.
In gaming. When adjusting for inflation today, that is still over $100, but while that might not seem cheap today, it was still less than what many cartridge-based games used to cost. But these new formats didn't just cut costs and improved margins, it unlocked creative freedom. Games like Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid would have been impossible on cartridges. CDs, although slower, offered 10x the storage of cartridges, paving the way for pre-rendered cutscenes, full voice acting, immersive 3D environments, and ironically at a lower price. The Nintendo 64 stuck with the cartridges, and that came with consequences, leading to dramatic price discrepancies. Ads from the time often highlighted the stark contrast in game prices between the two consoles. It's no surprise then that third-party developers flocked to Sony. By the end of the generation, the PlayStation had outsold the Nintendo 64 more than 2-1.
Damn.
By the early 2000s, the DVD era locked this new system in place. The PlayStation 2, original Xbox, and GameCube all embraced disc-based gaming. and nearly all major titles followed a predictable, stable model, $50 at launch. But that stability wouldn't last forever. As early as 2004, familiar articles popped up stating inflation finally wins. Publishers were quietly testing higher price points. Neverwinter Nights launched at $55.
I told you. I fucking knew it. Inflation was gonna start kicking their ass sooner or later.
While Warcraft 3 tested the waters at $60. And by 2005, the 7th generation arrived, along with a small but permanent shift. The Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 ushered in the $60 era. Publishers blamed ballooning budgets. Games were now being built in high definition, requiring larger teams, longer development cycles, and more complex tools. But even then, the industry was growing faster than ever before. Distribution costs were lower, and people were entering gaming in droves. A bigger pool.
Who remembers like their Xbox? Like, bro, my God, my Xbox 360, best times. Hopping on a Call of Duty, just downloading Call of Duty, just throwing the CD in there, and just like talking the most shit on Call of Duty. Whatever happened to that? What happened to the good old Call of Duty where I could go on, talk the most craziest shit, like the shit that would get you put in prison, the shit that would just get you put in a war zone? Whatever happened to that Call of Duty?
Users meant more consumers, which meant higher revenue. However, the AAA industry was shifting its strategy, and the $60 markup was their cushion. In the past, publishers took a shotgun approach, releasing a wide range of games, spreading the risk across genres and budgets. But now, that was changing. Fewer games, bigger budgets, massive technological advanced titles that took years to make, tens of millions to fund, and needing millions of sales. Just have to take a look at the previous generations. How many GTA games you had in the PlayStation 2 versus one per decade. While also at the same time, publishers clung to annualized franchises like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, milking what was safe while avoiding the risk of new IPs. Which made sense. If you were investing more and more money, optimally you minimize risk. But placing all of your eggs in one basket and introducing franchise fatigue had an equal or even larger risk. A risk the industry seemed to ignore as it raked in the profits. According to EA's chief creative director, Richard Hillman, in 2013, the number of teams working on AAA games had dropped from 125 to just 25, a 10-year low. But while the number of teams was reduced, the costs went substantially up, and the number of people on those teams went up by necessity.
Why? Wait, hold on. Why though? Less people. I mean, of course, those 25 people are probably doing the work of 100 something people, but why would the game substantially price just go up?
Other articles from the time, like The State of AAA by Polygon, were also sounding the alarm, warning of studios growing into bloated operations with hundreds of developers and budgets ballooning into the tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. The concern wasn't just how much these new games cost to make, but what would happen if they didn't sell enough to justify it? What if these over-designed, over-budgeted projects kept scaling upward and started missing the mark, laying the foundation for everything that would go wrong in the decade ahead? But the publisher's solution wasn't to scale down, and it wasn't to raise the base price, at least not yet. Instead, they chose to fracture the product, to split the experience, and to sell it to you piece by piece. But before we get there, one more revolution had to unfold, a revolution.
You mean, so kind of like how they did with like Assassin's Creed, right? Like they did the pre-order, right? But then like the game wasn't even complete and it came out, and then like the rest of the DLC for the game would be spread over like I think a couple of months or a year, or like a couple of months after the game was officially released.
wouldn't just spark many of those failures, it would pose a very real threat to the entire AAA model, and it started on PC. In 2003, a small platform called Steam launched alongside Half-Life 2. At the time, buying PC games meant going to stores like GameStop or Best Buy.
Oh my god, I remember. I had a disc on my PC, and then like I wanted Watch Dogs, but at the time like they didn't have it on like digital, so I had to go into the GameStop, or like I think I ordered it from online or whatever the case may be, and then I got Watch Dogs and I fucking put it in my PC and I was like, I got Watch Dogs.
So when Valve required Steam for installation and updates, gamers were furious. Many saw it as DRM in disguise, locking their games behind an online account in an era where not everyone had fast internet, leading to hate threads such as this. But Valve had a long-term vision. Steam streamlined patching, reduced piracy, and gave developers direct access to players. As broadband spread and Steam grew more popular and normalized, its user base skyrocketed from just 100,000 users in 2004 to over 10 to 20 million by the mid-2010s. This in turn also opens the floodgates for indie developers. Games like Braid, Limbo, Super Meat Boy, and Hotline Miami could launch at $10 to $20, proving that smaller games could be innovative, polished, and profitable. This movement then wasn't limited to PCs for long. Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network quickly adopted the same model. By the late 2000s, you could download games like Castle Crashers or Journey directly to your console, no disc required. By the mid-2010s, nearly every major release was available digitally on launch day. Now, you might think this shift would make games cheaper. After all, physical retailers took a 10 to 20% cut, while digital platforms like Steam, PSN, and Xbox Live took 20 to 30%, but with no discs, no packaging, and no shipping to deal with led to higher margins. So why didn't games get cheaper like they did with the CD revolution? Well, for one, physical copies were still very popular on consoles, especially considering lack of storage when comparing to PCs. But there was also a little thing called price parity. Publishers didn't want to undercut physical stores, or could, due to contractual obligations, especially heavyweights like GameStop, who relied on full-price sales to stay afloat. If Assassin's Creed launched for $60 at GameStop, but just $50 or less digitally, retailers might retaliate by dropping support for future titles. So instead of passing savings to consumers, publishers just pocketed the difference, potentially helping stave away any price increases as inflation and development costs ever increased in the industry. But that wasn't enough, because with that new distribution model came with another consequence. It laid the groundwork for something far more lucrative and far more controversial, because the real monetization shift was just about to begin.
No. Cause then like you have to realize that started the whole like battle pass, online subscriptions, and like all those like stuff with online games. Oh my god.
Begin quietly. A few dollars for some horse armor in Oblivion, a couple of extra map packs in Call of Duty, some bonus songs in Guitar Hero. Inspired by free-to-play games and subscription-based MMOs, developers began experimenting, not just with downloadable content, but with microtransactions, recurring revenue, and long-tail monetization strategies. Because if you...
They got us. That's how they got us. It started off with the skins, because like once they got you interested in the game, that was it. Like, and then especially it was an online service game where like it consistently changed over time, just like Fortnite, Marvel Rivals, Overwatch. They get you with their favorite skins, your favorite characters, and your battle passes, your perks, your vault editions, vault packs, limited editions.
Spending tens of millions on a single game, or relying on annual releases to carry your business, you needed more than just one big sales bump. You needed revenue that never stopped. monetize deeper, extend the game's lifespan, turn players into a paying customer. And with digital platforms now mainstream, it had never been easier to deliver or to profit. So by the early 2010s, DLC-like content was everywhere. And then came the Season Pass, a prepaid bundle of future DLCs and multiplayer extras. Franchises like Battlefield, Assassin's Creed, and Call of Duty built entire monetization strategies around it. Then there were pre-order bonuses. Originally, they served a purpose, reserving a physical copy in the cartridge and CD-ROM days when supply was limited. But as scarcity vanished in the digital era, pre-orders became a psychological weapon. Exclusive weapons, cosmetics, and even full missions were locked behind a pay-early wall. Deluxe editions, gold editions, ultimate editions, early access. The more you paid, the more of a game you got, or at least publishers wanted you to believe. And some titles took it even further. In-game stores popped up, cosmetics were sold for real money, XP boosts and pay-to-skip mechanics crept into single-player games, turning convenience into currency. By the late 2010s, Fortnite popularized the Battle Pass, a tiered system of progression and rewards, designed to drive engagement and recurring spending. Loot boxes like those in Overwatch or FIFA Ultimate Team introduced gambling mechanics to the mainstream, often targeting younger players. Excuse me, it's not gambling, it's surprise mechanics.
That is motherfucking gambling. I hate that shit, bro. I hate how people say, "Oh yeah, it's just a gacha box." That shit's motherfucking gambling. It gets you addicted because you want your favorite character or whatever the case may be. That shit is gambling. That shit is like hitting a slots machine and just hoping that 0.00001% chance statistic that you actually don't know hits.
It wasn't about buying a game anymore, it was about staying in a game and spending along the way. Games as a service, the golden goose of the industry. Suddenly, the price on the box wasn't the real price at all. A game wasn't just a game, and behind the scenes, profits were exploding. Not as one-time spikes, but as consistent, ever-growing revenue streams. It was predictable, scalable, and for investors, irresistible. Gaming had become the fastest-growing sector in the entertainment industry, and with live service models pumping out returns, everyone wanted in. And yet, through all of this, one number stayed the same: $60. For over 15 years, from the Xbox 360 to the PlayStation 4, that
Grand Theft Auto, the OGs. Do you think, damn, this makes me wonder, do you think Grand Theft Auto 6, do you think that will they ever like, we can turn this into $70 or maybe $80? Do you think like the next Grand Theft Auto 6, they'll just be just like everybody else?
price held firm. With so many monetization systems in play, publishers didn't need to raise the upfront cost. They were already making more money per player than ever before, even as free-to-play titles. In fact, you could argue that games were already more expensive than they had ever been, just not in the way players expected. But that's where the cracks begin to show. Over time, those very same titles, once hyped, once beloved, started to collapse under their own weight. Live service mechanics that were meant to increase engagement, they were actively harming gameplay. The fun was being stripped away, piece by piece, in favor of monetization and quarterly reports. Broken launches, yearly releases, developers burning out under executive mandates. Innovation and creativity gave way to trend chasing, mismanagement, and corporate greed. Games started to feel like they were designed by HR departments, not creatives. The AAA gaming industry had become factories, assembly lines in order to produce products that made a reliable amount of money from massive budgets. Safe, predictable, boring. And while AAA giants stumbled, indie developers, once seen as scrappy underdogs, started rising. Steam became their playground. New tools gave them power. Smaller teams could now build games that rivaled blockbuster titles, not just in size, but in quality, vision, and soul. As major publishers watched their sales dip, Those same monetization tactics came under fire, not just from players, but from governments. Loot boxes were being investigated as gambling and subsequently removed from many titles.
I told you that shit was gambling.
Currency systems were scrutinized. The whole foundation based on manipulation in order for players to spend more money, long and regulated, was starting to crack. So to compensate, prices were about to go up. But the real problem was being completely ignored by the industry. It started with a headline. 2K breaks gaming's de facto $60 ceiling, asks for $70 for next-gen NBA 2K.
It started with 2K? Yeah, nah. Get them out of here. Just because they think they can release the game every 2 years, get them out of here. I don't even play it anyway. Get them out of here. Nah.
2K21.
Nah.
After 15 years, the price wall had finally been shattered. Publishers called it necessary. Inflation, development costs, a new generation of hardware. They said it was a monumental leap forward, one that represented the value being offered. But players weren't buying it, literally. How could the same game, still stuffed with microtransactions, battle passes, and pre-order bonuses, suddenly demand more? It didn't feel justified, it felt opportunistic. And worse, it came during a time of massive growth. The COVID lockdowns had pushed gaming to new heights. More players, more spending, more profits. AAA companies were reporting record-breaking earnings. And yet, one by one, PlayStation, Ubisoft, Xbox, EA, Nintendo all announced $70 as the new standard. But was it really necessary, or just the next phase of monetization? Then came the value proposition. How did $70 games as NBA 2K, Starfield, Redfall, Diablo 4, Gotham Knights, Call of Duty, Star Wars Outlaws, Avowed compare to cheaper, better received alternatives like Elden Ring, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, or Baldur's Gate 3 for $60? Or even smaller indie titles like Hades or Palworld. No aggressive monetization, just quality games at fair prices. Where exactly was the value? And this is without factoring in regional pricing.
Yo, and then you realize now, like, the majority of indie games, or like games that are like keeping like the original standard that was a couple of years ago, are now games of the year. What, like Hogwarts, Elden Ring, I'm trying to think about what else off the top of my head, but like those are the games, and indie games like that, those are the games that are just now being Game Awards of the Year instead of Call of Duty or like all of the known major games.
In Europe, Doom the Dark Ages, for an example, is already €80. It didn't add up because the price increase wasn't getting us better games, it was not improving the games, just making them more expensive, with ridiculous justifications such as being quadruple-A games. But here's a fact that is true. AAA budgets have exploded over time. Massive teams, hundreds of millions spent on development and marketing. But is that the consumer's fault? Publishers chose to scale endlessly, to chase trends, to bloat their games and their studios with a massive amount of staff and games with everything for everyone design, to turn games into marketing platforms, glorified storefronts, engagement loops for selling more products. Look at Assassin's Creed Shadows. More about engagement and metrics, with a budget ballooning past $200 million. And as a game, safe and average. Space Marine 2 developer, a game that stands between AA and AAA, put it best. A lot of teams throughout development will overscope games. They'll look at some other game that just came out and say, oh, we got to do that, let's add this, we got to do this. And they lose focus on the core, what actually makes the game fun. But the goalpost changed. The ultimate goal was not to make a great game, but a great infinite revenue source with so many companies and games attempting and failing over the past decade. Ubisoft tried to copy the model over and over, and although they managed...
Yo, I don't want to be an asshole. I hate Ubisoft. I hate Ubisoft. And now, because of Ubisoft, I understand why people pirate games. I hate them so fucking much. Because if they wanted to, they could low-key decide, same with Nintendo, Nintendo's alright, but they could just decide one day to remove the game. It doesn't exist anymore, even though you bought it with your own money, right? You own it, quote unquote, right? They can just decide to, gone. The game doesn't exist anymore. All your playthroughs, all your records, everything, gone. That shit pisses me off.
Generate billions of dollars from MTX alone, they never cracked the live service success. Now they're facing their worst financial state ever. WB Games is yet another example that failed with Suicide Squad, but even now, when the sentiment has changed, hopes to still double down on live service games. PlayStation, known for cinematic single-player games, tried to follow that trend, but despite the success with Helldivers 2, cancelled so many projects after the Concord disaster that the PS5 has felt like a barren wasteland of game releases.
Well, why? Spider-Man 2 multiplayer canceled. That would probably be so good and so fun. Spider-Man 2 is such a good game. Well, as in open space wise, being able to, yeah, I'm like, some of those games, I would actually want to see and try to play. And then, let's just cancel them.
So imagine all of that on a wide scale, as these monetization practices get more of the pushback they deserve, as their soulless live service games keep failing and their popularity waning. A model they have invested millions to billions of dollars. They will have nothing left to fall back on. And Sony's lack of games and Ubisoft's financial disaster is an exact representation of that. So instead of crafting better games, better products, and downscale to improve their bottom line, the solution was to raise prices. In 2025, the most unlikely company raised the ceiling again: Nintendo. Known for smaller and self-contained titles, announced that some games for the Switch 2 were going to be priced at $80, even remasters or ports from the...
Hold on, bro. I'm low-key about to crash out. Bro. This shit is actually pissing me off. Pissing me the fuck off. Whatever happened to a good old normal game? A good old normal game that we can love and get behind and tell our best friends to play with them about. Whatever happened to the fucking good old Call of Duty, fucking where I could just go talk the most craziest shit in the server and not get reported for it? What happened to all those good games? All those good nostalgic moments? This shit is actually pissing me off. Alright.
Older generation were to be priced at $70 or more. Not to be outdone, Microsoft followed. Even though in 2024, Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, stated, "We went through COVID. We found ways of getting more money per player. I think at some point you reach a peak on that. And frankly, it can go to some places that are manipulative." Yet a year later, Microsoft cited market conditions and rising dev costs to justify their price hike, despite still reporting record earnings and laying off staff in mass. So what is the ultimate move here? Aren't they just digging their own grave, increasing the risks of piracy, depriving millions of people of buying their products for being too expensive, and by consequence, lowering their revenue? To turn us into patient gamers waiting for discounts? Maybe. Maybe they were banking on all the analysts that say gamers will pay these prices and in turn make more revenue. Or maybe the goal is to shift the entire system and revenue source like live service games once did. Gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games. That infamous Ubisoft quote, memed into oblivion, was never about digital ownership or DRM. It was about subscriptions. Game Pass, Ubisoft Plus, EA Play, PlayStation Plus, an entire ecosystem where players will own nothing and pay perpetually. Game too expensive to buy? Look at our shiny, cheaper alternative. It's the perfect model for publishers and investors. Full control, monthly revenue, endless engagement. Just look at some of the recent blockbuster games.
I have nothing to say.
Offered on those platforms, like Doom, AC Shadows, Indiana Jones, or Avowed. Not very high sales from what we know, but very high player engagement, even beating records, signaling the shift. Microsoft and Xbox are doing everything in their power to push Game Pass everywhere, even changing the console landscape, and it's working. For now, Game Pass can offer tremendous value. It is loved by many, the Netflix of games, until it fragments, inflates, and collapses under its own weight, just like streaming is facing. And when that happens, prices rise, value drops, and ads are introduced. But at the same time, publishers have found a new trick. They leaned on the safest card in the deck: remasters and remakes. Cheap to make, safe to market, nostalgic by design, and at cheaper prices. Former PlayStation boss Yoshida even stated in an interview that remasters and remakes are needed to help with those ballooning budgets in their new titles. From the many Last of Us remasters that often feel like cash grabs, to Oblivion, Prince of Persia, Black Flag, to Gears of War. Some of these games can even rebuild goodwill with players burned by recent failures. Oblivion helped shift Bethesda's perception after Fallout 76 and Starfield, and Gears of War to direct hype to their next big upcoming release. It's a good move if the pricing is right, but it doesn't solve the real problem, because AAA studios have gotten too large, too slow, too buried in approval chains and investors' fears. That's why Suicide Squad felt like a 2018 game launched in 2024. That's why Concord and Marathon look like ghosts of trends long gone, with painfully safe design. AAA doesn't innovate anymore, it reacts, afraid of risks. Live service was a symptom, but not the disease. Even now, as studios like Microsoft start pivoting away from live service, when Phil Spencer wants more games to have a beginning, middle, and end, if development is buried in layers of corporate approval, sanitized vision,
a game can never develop. A game and people can never be creative environments like that.
Reactionary design, and enormous budgets requiring millions of sales to turn profit, the result will always be the same: aggressively average. And when that's the product, the Dragon Age Veilguards or the Avoweds of our world, justifying $70 or $80 price tag will be harder than ever. And it's no surprise, really, when the leadership at these companies seems so fundamentally out of touch with both players and reality. According to David Gator, a former BioWare writer, EA executives used to refer to their audience as the nerds in the cave that would show up for an RPG because it was an RPG. Veilguard broke this theory completely, but if you reach this level of disconnect, you probably shouldn't be in the video game business. And then there's Randy Pitchford, CEO of Gearbox and director of Borderlands 4, who, when asked about the rising prices, told a fan how real fans will find a way to make it happen, to afford these prices, or PlayStation's...
We need to get this dude out of here. Fire him. We need to, develop an agency to keep, these fucking gaming companies in check. They gotta go. They gotta go.
Yoshida stating that $70 or $80 games are a steal and gamers shouldn't complain. It's not just out of touch at this point, it's condescending, manipulative, and completely disconnected from reality, both in terms of value those games offer and the actual financial pressures gamers face. And what makes it worse? This is the same company, Gearbox, that back in 2012 gave Borderlands 2 developers massive bonuses, some large enough to buy houses after the game sold over 26 million copies. But by Borderlands 3, despite more than 18 million sales, the bonuses were mostly gone. Development costs had soared, and the studio's internal reward system, once celebrated, was gutted. Now the budget of Borderlands 4 is reportedly twice of its predecessor, nearing or going past $300 million. A bloated production with a swollen headcount, mismanaged resources, and no real plan to reward the people actually making the game. If anything, is yet another perfect symbol of what AAA has become, a disconnected leadership class chasing unsustainable growth, while leaving both players and developers behind. Meanwhile, smaller independent studios have been building. They move fast, they create, they experiment. They are the heart and the passion of the industry. Former PlayStation boss Yoshida also said, "This is one of the ways forward because you can make excellent games with tighter teams and budgets without compromising quality. Just look at Expedition 33, a $50 title built by a team of just 30 ex-Ubisoft devs, some recruited from Reddit or SoundCloud, that looks and plays like a full-blown AAA game. It sold millions, made its money back, topped review charts, all with a fraction."
Can we give a round of applause for indie devs? Can we just give it a round of applause for the smaller teams? Can we just thank you.
Of the budget. Indies have been revolutionizing the industry for a better part of a decade, and now they are reaching a point with new tech and expertise they can even compete in production values, which was the last line that differentiated indies from AAA. Many were built by teams of a few dozen people, some by just one developer. Others, like Larian, have grown to amass large amounts of resources, but through this blurry line that we call indie and even AA, what matters is that these are independent developers building games unshackled by red tape, mandates, and AAA bureaucracy, offering more for less. All the while, AAA games made by 300 to 600 person teams, or even in the thousands in the case of Ubisoft, are somehow offering less for more. These companies haven't truly competed with each other in years, but now they are facing something different. They are competing with fresh blood, with smaller, faster, more focused, and rapidly growing teams, making better games at lower prices. Games that are simply games. And they are scared. You can see it in the nervous comments after the successes of Baldur's Gate 3 or Expedition 33, or articles such as the deprofessionalization of video games, where some fear the loss of bloated jobs at these massive studios. It's the same shift we saw from old traditional media to the new media, and the pushback it endured and still is, all because they are faster, leaner, and more agile, and history is repeating itself. Those games shattered the illusion that modern AAA games can't do more with the resources that they have to be bloated, that they have to be safe, with a bunch of developers that aren't passionate or rewarded about what they are doing, with leadership that sees them as replaceable and only caring for profits. But after the COVID boom and all the layoffs and closures happening, reality is finally hitting them. So where does that leave us? A pricing landscape that's completely fractured, where a $50 indie game feels like a masterpiece, and a $70, $80 blockbuster feels like the most average and recognizable game you have ever played, where quality and price are no longer linked, where the line between value and exploitation has never been blurrier, and where players aren't even angry anymore, just walking away to greener pastures. And that's the beauty of competition and the free market. Just like PlayStation once undercut Nintendo with CDs, today smaller, focused independent studios are undercutting the entire AAA ecosystem by focusing on gameplay first, and for us, the consumer, this new boom couldn't be better. But here's a silver lining to conclude. Some AAA publishers, especially those outside of the subscription business or companies like Nintendo that can easily get away with these high prices, are starting to pay attention. 2K, ironically the same company that helped introduce the $70 standard and the publisher of Borderlands, is now pricing its smaller scope titles like Mafia: The Old Country at just $50. A surprising move that competes directly with indies and AA, and actually earns a bit of goodwill, much like the remakes and remasters that have landed quite well in recent years. And it's a good bet, one that seems to resonate with players, because in the end, we do have power. It may take time, but we do influence what gets made and what doesn't.
Okay.
And as always, thanks for watching. Do let me know what...
That was a W vid. That was a W vid. W vid, hell yeah. Hold on, bro. Yeah, I ain't even gonna lie with you, bro. I ain't even gonna lie with you. I was getting mad. I was getting real mad because of all the stupid shit that India that fucking gaming companies are doing. Like that shit's actually pissing me off. Hold on. I gotta get the smoothie. Oh yeah, I gotta take a sip on the smoothie, chat. Gotta take a sip on the smoothie. Oh yeah, that's good. Hold on. Yeah, that's good. I had to taste it a few times. Let's see. What's gonna be the next video? Hold on. Where? Hold on. Is it this one? No. It's this one.
The point of no return.
Alright, bet. It's this one. Oh, la 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 la. Alright. Alright, bet. Okay, yeah, we're good. Alright, we're gonna be watching how YouTube ads have gotten out of control.
YouTube ads have well and truly gone past the point of no return, and today you and I are going to be taking a look at absolutely everything wrong with them, starting with how outrageously inappropriate they've gotten. Here's a quick montage of just some of the most unbelievable ads that have appeared on YouTube. Find a soulmate from Philippines. It looks like you can advertise anything on YouTube.
Yo, actually, it has been getting crazy. Not only YouTube. I want to say Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know about TikTok because I don't use TikTok on a daily. But yeah, like all the other platforms, including YouTube, I've seen some crazy fucking ads. Like I'm talking about things that should not be on there. Like, yo.
Popcorn in my YouTube ads. Seriously, on my 8-year-old sister's laptop.
That's what I'm talking about. Like that is inappropriate. That should not be popping up for an 8-year-old.
Very inappropriate ad. Jesus Christ. How is this allowed? My son saw this. YouTube should be ashamed. WTF YouTube. The boldest ad I've seen yet. POV when it hit me that there are no filters on this app. Stay classy YouTube. I don't know if I can read that word. Creepy YouTube survey. How many people are in your house, including you? Does YouTube have like at least a little bit of morals left? How does this get past the filters? Popcorn in my ads. Finally got my not safe for work ad pop-up. Craft excellence in wood. And this advert's got a double meaning. Believe it or not, YouTube does have a policy for the ads that are allowed on the platform, just like they have a policy for the videos made by creators. But after reading the relevant ad guidelines, I can kind of see why some of these ads sneak under YouTube's radar and I think it's because while many inappropriate ads are highly suggestive, ones that are properly explicit, featuring hardcore popcorn amongst other things, seem to be much less common. Now this is the part where I'm supposed to be optimistic and say, oh yes, the ads are bad now, but hopefully YouTube takes action and gets rid of all of the inappropriate ones, and then we can all live happily ever after. But the truth is, I can't put my hand on my heart and say anything remotely like that, because considering the state of YouTube ads right now in 2025 and some of the ones I've just shown you, I can't really see things getting any better. Now obviously YouTube has increased the amount of ads on the platform numerous times over the years, but there's one change that YouTube has implemented that seems to stand out among the rest. Fewer ad breaks for this long video. Fewer ad breaks for this long video is of course something you see if you're watching YouTube on a TV or games console, and despite how clear the message is, it's actually one of life's greatest mysteries alongside the Egyptian pyramids and the Bermuda Triangle, and it's something that YouTube viewers have been discussing since the company introduced it back in 2023. Very quickly, if you have never seen this before, if you watch some videos on YouTube on your TV, you might see this message in the corner of your screen, and the logic behind it is basically what it says on the tin. You'll get longer ad breaks, but fewer ad breaks than you might get on a shorter video. I've seen many people say that the fewer ad breaks thing is just a straight up lie, and as for me, I've said in previous videos that I just don't know whether it's true or not, but luckily some of my viewers have enlightened me and conducted their own experiments to see whether longer videos on a TV really do have less ads or not. About the fewer ad breaks for this long video thing, I have determined that on short videos, 1 second to 19 minutes and 59 seconds, there is an ad every 4.5 minutes roughly, and the ads are usually about 20 to 25 to 30 seconds. On long videos, 20 minutes to 500 hours, you get an ad every 5.5 minutes, but the ads...
That's crazy. Oh yeah, you're gonna get fewer ads. So, is it... So like, when they say that, right? Even though clearly it's a goddamn lie, does that mean that if it was on normal, we would get more ads than this?
From 55 to 90 plus second adverts, which means you get either the exact same amount of ads or more, which means YouTube is literally lying to our faces. After looking through my comments, I think it's pretty safe to say that my viewers don't trust fewer ad breaks for this long video, and speaking of things that YouTube viewers aren't particularly fond of, let's now take a look at adverts that are longer than...
Oh, I hate this shit, bro. Like, they'll be giving you 3-4 ads in one video. Like, why? And like, I have to sit there through the majority of those and click the skip button. That actually pisses me off. And I notice more ads during the holiday than like on a normal August month.
Wait for GTA 6. 50-second unskippable ad. What the hell? Anybody else gotten one? Are you kidding me? 8 unskippable ads. Damn YouTube, almost 3 hours of unskippable ads. 8 unskippable ads in a row. What's going on YouTube? 269 hour unskippable ad. A 1 minute 45 second unskippable ad.
Why? Like, what are these unskippable ad strays that they're just, 3 hours, 2 minutes, 3 hours, like fucking 3 hours. Like, what the fuck?
Ad. Unskippable 1 minute 40 ad. This is insane. I have ad block. YouTube adding consecutive triple 15-second unskippable ads. Prepare for more ads. YouTube is testing out longer unskippable ads that are set to appear more often for viewers. great, just what everyone always wanted. 60-minute unskippable ad. Is it normal to get 35-second long unskippable ads? No. Anyone been getting unskippable 30-second or 1-minute ads lately? So we're doing 10+ minute long unskippable ads now? Unskippable 3-minute ads. Is this the new normal? So while TV viewers are sitting there pondering the fewer ad breaks myth, PC users are being subjected to some insanely long ads, for no obvious reason, especially considering the maximum length of an unskippable ad on a PC should only be 20 seconds, so
What is going on?
who knows what's going on? Some Reddit users have theorised that the people who get ridiculously long ads on laptops and PCs are the people who manage to get past YouTube's defences, and so this results in YouTube saying, yeah, that's not happening, and bombarding them with movie-length adverts. Interestingly and somewhat suspiciously, YouTube has gradually scaled back the ad countdown UI on PCs over time, and we're at a point now where a PC ad doesn't even have a countdown timer displayed next to it. And this got me thinking, maybe, just maybe, the insanely long ads that people are seeing on PCs aren't a coincidence or a glitch. Maybe this is actually YouTube's way of testing out longer and longer ads. I mean, think about it. If you take away the countdown so people can't easily tell what the ad length is, you could potentially get away with increasing the length by a second or two. Despite that only being a very small increase, we know how valuable ads are to YouTube, so it could still result in some serious money for the website. I feel like I'm getting a bit too deep into conspiracy theory territory here, so let's quickly climb back out into reality and take a look at something that is certain, and that's millions of people using ad blockers and the battle they're having with YouTube to keep using them. On a dark day in 2023, YouTube randomly introduced these pop-ups that they would shove in the paths of viewers using ad blockers, the primary reason of course being to influence users to disable said ad blockers and subscribe to YouTube Premium. Unsurprisingly, no one likes this, and while it's annoying by itself, I think it's only made worse by two things. One, the price of YouTube Premium going up every year or so, and two, the fact
Oh yeah, same with YouTube TV. Same with YouTube TV. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's like, I forgot how much it is, but I think you play like 60 or 50, I don't know, don't quote me on it, a month. And then I want to say after a couple of months or after a year, you're paying like 100 or like I think 200 and something a month.
these pop-ups weren't even around since day one. If YouTube thought viewers would accept these pop-ups with open arms after being able to use an ad blocker for the past 18 years, then I don't really think they should be trusted to make major decisions that they think will better the platform. Case in point, the removal of dislikes. Apologies for going off on a tangent there, but as if the persistent ad blocker detected messages weren't bad enough, in 2024 YouTube began blocking viewers using a VPN, which in my opinion is outrageous. This, alongside the insane UK age verification stuff that began earlier this year, truly makes me realise how far backwards we've gone in terms of internet privacy. Luckily for viewers, there are still ways of blocking ads on YouTube as of the time of me making this video, and I don't want to jinx it, but I do think there always will be. This is of course bad news for YouTube, who would...
Yeah, see look, it says, right, 1 month free trial, obviously, right, $0 for a month, and then after that your starting price will be $8 a month. And then who knows, maybe that year they could just decide to, yeah, we want to raise this by $5, and they'll probably raise it, may or may not tell you, and you'll probably eventually figure it out sooner or later.
Much prefer you to subscribe to YouTube Premium. Premium is interesting, because while it does what it says it will and gives you an ad-free experience, it isn't without its fair share of controversies. For starters, YouTube has increased the price of it multiple times now, which is undoubtedly frustrating, following in the footsteps of other streaming services like Disney Plus and Netflix. Secondly, I've seen quite a few posts on Reddit over time by premium users who are still getting ads, which is surely just fraud, right? Even if this is just a glitch, I still think it's interesting to have a look at these Reddit posts. One thing I should say is that most of these Reddit posts are at least a year old, so in YouTube's defense, it does appear as though they've fixed, or at least tried to fix, whatever was going on here. Anyway, we're moving on now to Premium Lite, the inferior, slightly pathetic younger brother of Premium, a cheaper alternative if you aren't fussed about certain features like background play, and also if you don't mind still seeing ads on music content, shorts, and when you search or browse. I personally cannot fathom.
That's... Come on, chat. That is literally a scam. Let's be real here. Let's all agree that that is literally a scam. You would just be better off buying their better version of that plan and then getting ads free on everything.
Spending your hard-earned money just to still see ads, but hey ho, it is a free world. Now you probably know that videos aren't the only thing that you can watch on YouTube, because there's also a long list of movies that you can buy or rent on this platform. In fact, if you search up any random movie on YouTube, the chances are that it will be here. However, in a somewhat surprising turn of events, YouTube appears to have made quite a few of its movies free to watch, and while there have always been free movies on here, it looks like in recent times they've increased the amount that you don't need to pay for. And you might now be sitting there thinking, well, that doesn't make sense. If YouTube loves money so much, why would they make their movies free? Well, my friend, I think I have the answer. If you watch a free movie on YouTube, you'll probably see ads on it. And so my latest conspiracy theory is that YouTube is making more movies free to test whether they can make more money from people buying and renting movies or watching free movies with ads. I want to clarify that this is just a theory, but if YouTube continues to increase the amount of free movies, it's definitely an interesting one to consider. Something else I want to mention is that while making this video, my brain had a flashback to a core memory, and that was the time in 2020 when YouTube quietly made an update to their terms of service, in which they announced that they would start putting ads on videos that aren't.
Yeah, for people who like aren't a part of the YouTube partner program, you could, depending on how many views you got on your video, if it was enough, they would put ads on your goddamn video, even though you're not a part of YouTube partner program. But then when you did become part of the YouTube partner program, I'm pretty sure you you got paid for all the ads that video got on it. Because I'm like, that happened to one of my videos. I think 10, 20, 30K. I became a part of the YouTube partner program, and then I got paid for that video. And then I'm pretty sure I got the revenue for that video.
In the YouTube partner program, meaning channels that aren't eligible for ads, and taking 100% of the revenue generated. From a business point of view, I almost
Wait. Oh, shit. I guess I was wrong.
want to applaud YouTube for finding such creative ways to generate more revenue. I'm very confident in saying YouTube has made astronomical money from doing this for the last 5 years. YouTube is at somewhat of a strange point in its existence. From a business perspective, they're absolutely killing it, raking in billions and billions of dollars every single year, and showing absolutely no signs of a decline or slowdown. But in the eyes of the average YouTube viewer, things really aren't all sunshine and rainbows. I think it's safe to say that as of the time of me making this video in November 2025, YouTube ads are at the worst they've ever been.
100%.
And the big question that everyone's wondering
100%.
is why? Why, 20 years after the website was created, are the ads at their worst?
Yeah, freaky.
Why is it that
Freaky
YouTube's
ads.
ad moderation has apparently fallen off a cliff? Well, I think I have the answer. Surprise, surprise, it all comes down to money. If we look at graphs and charts showing just...
Yeah, because whoever these people are making these ads, they're paying a ton to get these ads to stay on the platform.
how much YouTube makes from ad revenue every year, we can see a pretty clear pattern, and that pattern is that YouTube's ad revenue basically increases with every year that goes by. I absolutely do not believe this is a coincidence, and I'm pretty confident in saying that one of YouTube's biggest objectives as a company is to make more money than the previous year. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay bro, great theory, but where's your evidence? Well, all we need to do is look at how YouTube behaves and the actions they take in regards to ads. Firstly, it's no secret that they've increased the price of premium quite a few times now, sometimes increasing it by a massive percentage, like 50%. Secondly, YouTube...
Wait. Family members, right? $12, your family will be billed $20 starting. That's what I'm saying. See, look, they did do it on premium. See, look, first, like you'll get like $12, $13 a month, right? Whatever the case may be for a certain amount of months. And then after whatever date it is, right? They're going to start billing you $21 a month starting on December 24th, 2024. Yeah, that shit makes no sense. They'll give you a couple of months with this price and you can have premium, but then after that, they're going to be charging you a bigger price later on.
By massive percentage, like 50%. Secondly, YouTube allowing all kinds of ads, including the inappropriate ones, means they're going to make more money than if they only allowed safer work ads. Combine all that with them going out of their way to make it harder for viewers to use an ad blocker, and I think you very clearly end up with a company that's just trying to make as much cash as possible. Great for YouTube, but horrible for you, the viewer, just wanting to watch quality content without being bombarded with boatloads of not only highly annoying, but also freaky ads every 5 seconds. For many YouTubers, ad revenue is a crucial part of their income, often providing a sort of base level pay before the opportunity for sponsorships and other income methods like Patreon to bump it up a bit. And for some creators, the amount of revenue that video ads generate can of course be life-changing. Moist Critical is a prime example of this, having recently revealed that since starting his 17 million subscriber YouTube channel, he's made over $34 million. Good grief. But the craziest part is that that figure is less than half of what the true amount of ad revenue made by Moist Critical's videos actually is. If you didn't know, this is because if a YouTuber has ads running on their videos, they don't take home all of the cash generated. Oh no, if you didn't know that...
No. YouTube takes a cut.
Let me know in the comments if your mind's blown or not. As you've probably deduced by the amount I've included in this video, I see a lot of Reddit posts, but there was one I saw recently that stood out to me among the rest. This one here, titled "The Death of Broadcast Yourself," of course posted to r/YouTube, and I think this user has perfectly summed up what I've been trying to say this entire video. I'm finished with YouTube. I joined nearly 20 years ago when the slogan was "Broadcast Yourself." That's completely dead now.
Yo.
These days it feels exactly like cable TV.
That's
Ads
so
every
true.
few minutes, sponsors shoved in everywhere, and
That's so
somehow
true.
it's even less convenient. YouTube isn't about broadcasting yourself anymore, it's about appeasing advertisers. If you ask a handful of people if they think that there are too many ads on YouTube, I think the majority would say a resounding yes. But when all is said and done, it doesn't matter. Not to YouTube anyway. It's become such a gargantuan company that no matter how many viewers complain about ads, use ad blockers, make Reddit posts, at the end of the day, YouTube will still make big bucks and likely continue to increase ads on the platform for the rest of time. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they just remove skippable ads entirely at some point in the near future. It is, quite simply, the biggest video sharing site on the internet, and in regards to any competition, I don't really think they have anything to worry about. If you're someone who doesn't want to see ads, what it comes down to is a choice. YouTube Premium or an ad blocker. But whatever you choose, there is one thing that remains certain. YouTube ads aren't going anywhere.
W. Nah. They aren't going anywhere. Nah. Let's see what's gonna be the next video. I'm gonna choose a good one. We're gonna do this one. We're doing a documentary. We doing a documentary. Or but all right, bet we're good. So we're watching how Raising Cane's, the original story of this $22 billion empire, full documentary. Lock in.
So here it is. It's our meal. Box combo, 4 golden fried chicken fingers, crinkle cut fries, buttery garlic.
Yo, I ain't even gonna lie with you. I love me some Raising Cane's. I love me some chicken. I love me some goddamn chicken. I'm probably gonna get some later today. I ain't even gonna lie with you.
Liquid toast, cane sauce, and coleslaw.
This is everything you serve sitting on this table right now.
That's what it is, man. Dig in.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna go for one of these first.
You can taste the quality, right?
It's a $1 billion idea right there. Believe it or not. A 22-year-old Todd Graves knew a spot serving only chicken fingers would be a hit with LSU students, even if the banks thought he was a dumb kid with a bad idea. He had a childish menu, no management experience, no money.
When you believe in something, like to your core, that it's gonna work, and you're an entrepreneur, you use every no and every it's not gonna work as fuel. You build a chip on your shoulder. It's the best thing that
W quote, so true. W quote.
can happen to you.
3 decades after scraping together the cash to open his first restaurant, Graves has put up more than 900 Raising Cane's chicken fingers locations across 42 states. It's one of America's largest fast food chains and one of the quickest growing, adding more than 100 stores every year. Sales hit $5.1 billion last year, or a staggering $6.6 million per store, second only to Chick-fil-A and more than double most major chains.
I feel like with the first location being right here on LSU's campus, it's a big part of LSU and Baton Rouge's identity.
To put that into perspective, a typical chain is lucky to break $2 million per year in sales. And Graves still owns 92% of Raising Cane's, making his net worth $22 billion, all just from chicken fingers.
Damn.
What I think makes Cane's different is it's led by a founder and a founder's family. I take it personally that I'm feeding people's kids, food safety, right? I take it personally that I hire people's kids to come into our business. All those things that when you're founder driven, you make the right decisions for your crew and for your customers. And when you do that, then the sales come.
To get to know the man behind the brand, I spent a day in his hometown of Baton Rouge with him.
Look, I'm not a licensed plumber, but that picture right there shows me putting in the plumbing, and it's held all these years.
Graves showed me everything from the first Raising Cane's restaurant, which he calls the mothership, to his house, his
Damn.
guest house, and his tree house fit for a king, and a few
Damn.
notable celebrity friends of his.
I said, is there
Damn.
a number limit, weight limit? Because you put as many people as it can fit in this thing.
Wow.
So Kane, what is actually in the cane sauce?
I'm counting chicken fingers.
But before he was
We need to know what's in that cane sauce.
a social media star, Graves was just like any born and raised Louisiana kid.
Growing up in the 70s and the 80s here in Baton Rouge, it was kind of that, kind of all-American lifestyle, right? We, went to school, loved our summer vacations, played Little League baseball. A lot of it centered around LSU here. And Baton Rouge kind of had a lot to do with where everything is with Canes today. And you know, here in this Cajun culture, you love to cook. You know, I grew up in my mom's kitchen, and food just symbolizes.
Yo, shout out to the mom. Shout out to the mom. Because of her, we got some good chicken. W moms.
As love for me, right? If my mom and I were making a gumbo all day on a Sunday, right, we'd have the sports playing, but we cooked that gumbo all day, and it didn't need to take exactly that long, but it was time I.
Yo. Oh.
Looks like I got part of it done already, but I got another ticket now. Oh damn! You want to say your toilet seat's the only thing I got left? Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Sunday, like I came in, yeah, and then sometimes it'll come off. Like it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be a problem, huh? When you're trying to take a shit.
Yes, sir.
Might end up castrating yourself on your own damn toilet bowl. It's an adventure trying to take a shit.
Alright, thank you.
Did you ever look at that game?
I did look at some videos of it.
Yeah.
I do want to try it out.
Yeah. It's a fun little game. I'm telling you, you'll waste some time on it a whole lot like I did. A little bit at a time. It's not one of those soul stealers though, you know, where you got thousands of hours invested just so you can get that one sword put together.
Actually, how do you guys get into like doing this type of work? Is it,
Trades?
yeah, trades.
Yeah, trades work. You know, me, it was kind of accidental. It was, I got booted out of school because I was a bad fucking kid and couldn't behave myself. And, I think I was, I don't know, barely 16. And Grandpa says, well, get in the car. So where are we going, Grandpa? He goes, we're going to get you a job, son. Yeah. And I just showed up at a plumbing shop and started becoming a plumber's helper, and the rest is kind of history. You know, I've done everything from heating and air to plumbing, which those two kind of go hand in hand. And you know, when I was in between jobs, I've cut grass, you name it. You know, you just do what you had to do. Especially when you get another mouth to feed, then that's when you really begin to realize that, hey, I've really got to get this done. You know, at all costs, I got to get this done. It's not about just you anymore. You know, but I just kind of fell into it, and I ended up liking it. So I was just like, and I ended up hating heat and air. You know, I had to quit. I kept a lung infection like probably 6 to 8 months out of the year. Oh yeah, it'd have killed me. It would have fucking killed me. There's no doubt about that. You know, I was just like, yeah, I can't keep doing that. Not only that, I was skinny back then, and all they wanted to do was jam me up in hot ass attics, you know, remodels in the middle of summer.
Oh hell no, those attics? Oh hell no.
I got in one. It didn't have any vents, no roof vents, no soffit vents.
Oh hell.
And I had working out all day, but I remember touching the lamp. You know, there's people's belongings up there, and I touched this lamp on the inside of my arm. It literally burnt me. That's how fucking hot it was in that attic. I mean, you walk into it instantly, you start pouring. Yeah, your pants are soaking wet with your own sweat. It's ridiculous. You learn real quick how much water you better be taking in. Because if not, yeah, I've been heat sick so many times it ain't even funny. You know, and they say you get heat sick easier a lot. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I know you get the spot in the sun a hell of a lot sooner.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I remember the first time I got real heat sick, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like, you know, I started crying. I'm like, why the fuck am I crying? I'm not even upset. And I'm like, you know, I mean, just like uncontrollable bodily functions. You know, not feeling right. I was what the fuck is going on? Like I was losing control of my faculties. And you know, but yeah, you learn a lot of things real quick. Or you get dead. You can pick your pick. Yeah. Woo. porcelain, but the flange underneath these plastic. I don't know what marine surgeon came up with that idea. Golly. Finally. Whoo! That was ridiculous. But yeah, you know, a lot of people go the route of trade school. You know, but I'm not a real believer in that. You know, I think there's no substitute for the education on the side kind of education. And there's no substitute for learning from your own mistakes. I don't know how many journeyman plumber I've seen that I wouldn't even have as my helper. That's how bad they were. You know, in their own mind, they could probably recite code to you, and well, you can't do that because of this, that, or another, or what, or whatever. But yeah, they were absolutely shit when it came to actually doing the job. So, what about as useful as this John Wayne toilet paper here? Rough as hell and don't take shit off nobody. Yeah. But it's just one of those deals. I love my trade for one simple fact. I don't give a shit how bad the downturn in the economy gets. What kind of goes on in this world? People are always going to need to take a shit and they want to wash their hands up. They're always going to want to do it with the lights on too. And they sure as hell want to select the balls off or freeze them off while they're doing it as well. So those kind of trades are pretty much locked in. And they're not really replaceable. In other words, there's not going to be a robot to come along. Now, there has been a sweep in plumbing I've noticed lately that really bothers me is the sheer amount of unskilled labor that has been ordered into the force. And what I mean by that is not just piss poor plumbers, but piss poor plumbers that are allowed to exist because they keep coming up with materials that are easier and easier to assemble. Take less and less skill
to install it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that's how you end up with that. When you don't have to know anything really to do your job, well, there you go. One of them kind of deals. But, I don't think they'll be able to, I think that will kind of sort itself out as well. So in other words, when people get tired of their houses, get flooded out from these bullshit pressed together fittings that a child can assemble because they blow apart, and substandard help, which that's pretty much painfully obvious already, in the workforce. And then there's certain trades that there's no substitution. Say like the electrical trade. There is no substitution.
Yeah, you can't mess up on that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't become an electrician. I had a chance to. That's what all my family members were electricians. I could have got into that, and then I thought about it. And I was like, first off, I'm scared of electricity, which is good. which I make decent money. What I make right now, 10 years ago, would have been a killing. You know, $25 an hour. 10 years ago, I've been killing, been slaying it. Well, that's just above minimum wage for me now. And it's not. 10 years ago, my house insurance cost $110 a month for my house and my shitty old fucking 1998 Grand Marquis. It's almost $500 now. I could go to the grocery store 10 years ago and I could fill a grocery cart all the way to the top with a $100 bill. Now I can't even line the bottom of that bill. Yeah, you see where I'm going with this? Yeah. So that amount of money now ain't jack shit. In other words, I can't put any of it away. Even though I made, when I started out here, it was on about 20, probably $20 now. And we moved on up to about 25. Not near enough to do fucking inflation. I was doing way better 10 years ago with what I made then. I'd rather make what I made 10 years ago. On the viewer does, because what? That's not reality. This is the reality we all live. You know? And that's the way they want to do it. You know, it's all a game, you know, when you deal with an economy that isn't based on it, other than I say that the dollar's what it is. That's what people currency. That's what our money is, that paper money that everybody's so wrapped up about, and their minds and their dreams are all, and that's the God they worship. It's just a piece of paper that the government says it's worth this. And then when they print it like gangbusters and they give it to everybody, and they make that dollar in my pocket worth half as much as it did yesterday. That's how they steal from us. That's how they've been stealing from us for years. Yeah. When we say that, you know, this is what it's worth now. We're all slaves. Have no doubt. We are all slaves. That's it. That's their real plan. That's what they want. They want to subjugate people. Period. Yeah. Oh no. Slave class. Every single one of them. There's a small club they're in. And guess what? We ain't never gonna be in. You know, these people who think they're rich, I just laugh. I'm like, unless you own property in some island someplace, you know, you got abundances of resources that you can say, you know what? I'm done dealing with society. I can go to my little island, you know, and live for the rest of my life. You ain't got nothing. Oh, I've got a big house that's paid for. Okay. Don't pay the taxes on that and see who really owns that home. You understand where I'm going with this? All these things are just little constructs. You know what I mean? Because you really don't own nothing. You think you do. Well, I've got this much money in the bank. Oh, you got billions of dollars in the bank. Well, guess what? Well, the Germans probably thought that too. And then they had women sit on their own ass just to get a loaf of bread. Yeah, and they were pushing around wheelbarrows full of marks. You know, 1 million marks to buy one loaf of bread. Overnight that happened. Boom. Their economy crashed. Done. Yeah, you know, it's hilarious. If you want to watch something that's kind of disturbing, and where I get a lot of those ideas from, I'm not as smart as this guy's toenail fuckers. I'm not the sharpest knife in the world by any stretch. But check out an individual by the name of Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell. Yeah, dude, brilliant mind. He's probably close to, he's in the 90s probably now, right at the late 80s. So, you know, I'm scared of the day when we hear that he's no longer with us because he's already lost his national treasure. And yet a good friend named Walter Williams, who was absolutely amazing too, but unfortunately he lost him a couple years ago. They were close to around. Yeah, do not forget that name, Thomas Sowell. It's like it's spelled like so well. Yeah, Thomas Sowell. Amazing. But yeah, he covers, because see, everybody thinks economics is money. It's not. Economics is everything. It's everything. It's the world. Yeah, the world we live in. He covers everything from slavery to politics to you name it. And I've never disagreed with that man on anything. You know, anything. You know, because everything he says to me subjects that I promise you public schools don't agree with. Yeah. Doesn't fit the narrative. Yes, exactly. You see where I'm going with that. It doesn't fit the narrative. And I think a lot of those narratives all boil down to one thing. It's control. They really do. I mean, all these little social things, you know, changing speech. It's not me. Nobody gives a shit about it. Let's get real. At the end of the day, very few people have love for their fellow man. End of story. Everybody can act like they do. They can virtue signal. You know, look at me, I'm so good, so good. Aren't you proud of me? But if you really looked inside their hearts, you'd be like, whoa, whoa. You know what I mean? You'd be horrified. You know, most people's virtue intentions, sometimes even when there is good virtue in them, they don't think through. You know, like socialists, oh man, that sounds great. But it don't work. It's a great idea, wrong species. Wrong species. Yeah. I mean, all these things, you know, the more and more I learn about history, though, the more and more I'm shocked. It's like I remember growing up in school. Here's an example: the Crusades. Horrible, horrible, horrible people. No. They were not. They were just taking back lands that were already ours. Yeah. Period. End of story. All the Holy Land's taken back. Just look in the Bible. Oh. All these places. Asia Minor. Where's that at? You know what I mean? Well, guess where they're at now? Under full Muslim control. You know how they got that way? About the sword. Yeah. The only way you can even remain alive as a Christian is you can pay jizya. That's what they call it. So you can pay this tax. It's not so much that I want your money, I want your submission. Yeah. In fact, it even implies in their name, Muslim. Means a man who submits. Yeah, or the submitted one. You know, yeah. And it's all about domination. You know, do some looking in that and you'll be like, holy crap. What is his name? Abraham is his name. But he's an author, he's got a bunch of book series. Like the Two Swords of Christ, the Sword and the Scimitar. But they're all about basically the expansion of this. And in my opinion, I'm an idiot. In my opinion, it's the biggest threat to Western society there is. Look at England, Ireland, Sweden, France. They're done, dude. They are done. They're done. Yeah. Just take a quick glance. Watch anything over what's going on in that country. I didn't realize it in those countries. All of Europe, Germany, all of them. They are done. They're baked. A couple of them might not be, but in order to turn that around, a river of blood's going to have to run down the street. I hate to say it. And pretty soon, if we don't watch out, the same will be our problem. It's already becoming a thing. Look at Dearborn, Michigan. Yeah, look at Texas. Never thought that come out of my mouth. Texas. There's 52 mosques in the Dallas area alone. Bad day. Y'all got a bad day coming. I was telling that to a couple of ladies, and you know, this out there. I'm sure they had soldiers as husbands. I said, any man that's been off in the sandbox, and the old soldier, I said, I bet would agree with me. He's been off in that sandbox. Brother, be safe, and thank you for serving.
Thank you, sir. Me too.
Alright, but I'm back. I'm back. My bad. Someone had to come in and fix my toilet because it wasn't flushing, and my toilet seat was fucked up. So we're back. Let's hop into the video.
With her, and we could serve that gumbo to our friends and family, and that really stuck with me. That culture of food and love, and really built into what Cane's is today.
He also displayed all the telltale signs of a future entrepreneur.
When I grew up, I was a kid in the neighborhood that did the lemonade stands, and I'd cut people's grass for $5. That's really where that entrepreneurial spark started from. I just had that knack to want to make money and know how to do it. I asked my parents, "Hey, can I take the lawnmower and the edger?" And I don't know if that's something a 10, 11-year-old should be able to do, but it built that independence. Then I learned to hire other kids in the neighborhood and pay them a little bit, of what I was making. Kind of built that out to a little lawn service.
Graves' work ethic would follow him into college at the University of Georgia.
Yeah, so I worked in high school and college in restaurants, and so I just naturally loved food, and that was a job. And I remember working in those, but thinking it should be done differently. And when you worked in restaurants before, it wasn't a great atmosphere. It was more of like negative management. You're doing this wrong, you're screwing up on this, kind of negative. There was no music playing in the kitchens.
Oh yeah, 100%. Nowadays, like, work environments are like so sad, and it's kind of rare. Like, you'll go to work and you'll be like, damn, this place just fucking sucks. And then like you'll go to places like Cane's or like places that are more modernized and they actually care about their workers and they're more loyal to their workers, like Costco and stuff like that. And it's like, yo, I want to go to work, or like I don't mind going to work. It's that different mindset between companies.
There wasn't just a great vibe with these restaurants.
Graves wanted to do things differently.
I was a college student. I knew what I wanted to eat. I knew the environment I wanted to go to. And I knew I could deliver on quality and consistency, getting to see different types of food, not just Cajun and Creole food here in Baton Rouge. I was able to look at some different concepts. There was Guthrie's, there was Zaxby's, there was these different chains. And that's when I really keyed on to this chicken finger, the chicken strips. And what was great about doing such a focused concept was that I knew we could execute on that. And you have to have it just right every single time.
What did your friends and family members and everybody else think, when you're going around saying, forget Cajun Creole, forget all these other trends, I'm going to do chicken fingers, and I'm only going to do chicken fingers, and I'm never changing that?
When I explained the concept, just a quality chicken finger meal, craveable and great, they would say, well, what else are you going to have on the menu? You have to have variety. Look, everywhere I go, there's variety if we want to go get that. And I tried to explain it to them, and they just didn't get it, really. They were encouraging to me, but I could see that vision, right? I could see it happening other places. I knew it would be a success.
Someone who did believe in Todd's vision was his longtime friend, Craig Silvey, who was then a student at LSU.
Todd and I go way back. We met actually in 6th grade. We kind of had this instant bond. We both...
Best friend. W. Todd.
Had this kind of, attitude about life, living freely and just really having a good time, but at the same time working hard.
The story of how the first Raising Cane's came to be is a wild tale of two young guys in their early 20s doing whatever it takes to make their dream happen.
Todd was in entrepreneur mode. I was, majoring in biochemistry. Todd was about to graduate in telecommunications. And we always wanted to start a business together. At the time, chicken fingers were trendy, mostly at casual restaurants. So it became this focus on how much volume we could pump through a relatively small place.
Most entrepreneurs start a business with a friend, right? You're going in, it's scary, right? And you're like, I want to be with somebody that will see it through with me.
We actually made kind of a
trust. And like this is the situation where two minds are better than one. Someone you can actually trust, because most startups fail. I think it's because I forgot what it was, but most startups fail because, because like they don't have like a clear cut through concrete plan.
Blood pack, we had like this chicken claw from the flea market, and we decided to kind of scrape our wrist and put our wrists together, and we said, let's do this till the end.
Well, I was like, hey, we're going to commit to this. I want to make it. We're going to commit to success or failure, either way, but we're not going to quit.
And when you're that young and you have literally hardly anything to lose, especially financially, It sounded like a fun commitment. And by then we knew that the only way we could do this was go 100%. So we knew we had to put together a business plan.
Sylvie had to write a business plan for a class, so the duo submitted their chicken finger concept.
That's what I'm saying. Because, like, you can want to start a clothing brand, a clothing business. I can want to, you know, make these YouTube videos. But if I have no plan or no idea or no system or setup on how I can make these videos or my business or my goals possible, then it's just going to flop. It's like, hold on. So it's basically like, sometimes in order to be successful, you have to have an ego, because it's like basically don't do something half-baked. Like, if you're gonna do something, make sure you go all the way. If you're gonna fucking say, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym every month, you have to be consistent with it. And it's the same thing with a business. You can't just start a bit, say, oh, I want to start a business, but I have no idea what I should be doing first. Maybe depending on what business it is, do you want an online retail? Like, first you have to start off with the basic first steps, because in order to be a successful business, you need a plan. But that's it. I'm gonna get back to my, you know.
Out everything, even the brand of toilet paper they'd buy. The professor gave them a B-.
I got the worst grade in the class. The teacher said, it's a great plan. Look, I knew it. I wrote the Bible on a chicken finger restaurant. I knew what our aprons would cost that week. You know, I mean, I had it down to a science. So the plan was good, but the concept is flawed. It said, you know, one, serving just chicken fingers meals here in South Louisiana. We're known for our Cajun Creole food. Doing plate lunches, the variety that Cajun brings is like, one, I don't think that's a great like sector of the restaurant business to do here in Louisiana.
It kind of fueled us, and we had this such laser focus back then that, you know, we just kind of had this young attitude that we weren't going to listen to anyone.
I actually bought a cheap suit and went to Office Depot and bought an old briefcase that had the brass combination locks, right? And I thought this is what business people did. So I basically got every banker in town. I think there's some rule they have to take you if you want to go in and present a lending opportunity. I'd walk in, I'd open my combination lock and give a business plan. Then I was in my cheap suit and I would go through the business plan. Pretty much got the same response, right? You know, the bankers were nice enough to me, but they were like, you know, just chicken finger only concept here in Louisiana. And then I got the extra things from business. You have no money, no equity to put into this. You don't have years of management experience. Usually we look at 10 years at a minimum for somebody to start a restaurant, to have that type of experience. We know you worked in high school and college, but you weren't a manager, and I wasn't. And the common response is go work for some of the really great restaurant companies out there and learn from them.
Crazy.
And then you'll be better set up to do a business.
That's
and I'm thinking, you know, it's not bad advice, you know, it's not terrible, but I'm an entrepreneur. You know, with every no, I'm getting more fired up and a chip on my shoulder to show you that I can do it. And so I just kindly said, well, you know.
You know what's crazy? I guarantee you all those assholes who did that are probably looking like, damn, we definitely fucked up. We 100% definitely fucked up. And then I mean, I wonder nowadays when all these banks look back on this story, do they ever think maybe if we do have a few entrepreneurs or people with these backgrounds come into our, you know, our bank, maybe we should take a decent, quite better look than we normally would have at them. You know what I mean?
I appreciate the time. And you're going to see my restaurant open, and I hope you're a customer. After I got turned down by all the investors, I knew I had to raise money by myself on this. And so through a friend of a friend, I got a job working as a boilermaker in refineries, doing turnaround shift work. You work these long days, hard work, you know, it's hot as heck. You're in the middle of these towers, and I'm learning how to, you know, work welding irons, blow torches. I'm learning how to like direct in these huge flanges coming into this deal. When I was working so hard out there, the Boilermakers were the first really encouraging group to me. And they were like, "You're going to make this chicken finger restaurant work." And I'm like, "You believe it?" And they said, "Yeah, you're working so hard for this. You know,
You think that's what they saw, how hard you're working and how passionate you were? And
Exactly. They saw that and they said, you're going to back it. And we believe in your concept, and we believe you're going to be a success." From there, I met a fellow Boilermaker named Wild Bill Tolar, and Wild Bill was like, "Look, Todd, you really want to make some money for this chicken finger restaurant? I got something for you. I fish summers in Alaska in the sockeye salmon fishing trade." He's like, "Hard work, way more dangerous than this, and actually harder than this. But you'll make a whole bunch of money. I think you'll be able to open your restaurant." So I was like, "Well, sign me up. Where do I go?"
He got in touch with me to tell me about Alaska.
Damn.
At that time, I kind of just thought it was another crazy Todd idea. And then it turned into this whole adventure, but a very focused adventure. We told everyone that we were trying to get a job out there. They were like, "Why y'all out here in Alaska?" "We're trying to raise money for a chicken finger restaurant."
Crazy work. During the peak of the season, we were working 20-hour days, which meant you get an
Damn.
hour nap here, 45 minutes here, 30 here, because that fish is coming. You're picking fish. And it's also very dangerous because most of these captains make their entire income for the year off this short summer period of fishing. We ran boats rammed us. We were catching so much fish, the waves were coming in the side before we could load off to a tender boat that was going. National Geographic's flying planes over, medical helicopters coming in. You're hearing on the radio, somebody died, somebody got thrown out with a net or got crushed, all these things. And I was out there financing this chicken finger dream.
the chicken finger dream kept you waking up in the morning, going back out there and doing it.
Absolutely.
When Graves and Sylvie returned to Louisiana, they noticed a change in interest from investors.
I was able to put together about $50,000 from those jobs, and I saw something different happen when I came home. People, I've been sticking with this, so then people started paying attention a little bit. Like this wasn't just some, flash in the pan idea that you.
It's a year later, and Todd's still going on about chicken fingers. We're gonna have to humor him.
And worked in refineries and
Yeah.
worked in commercial
Yeah.
fishing, risking his life.
We got some money from investors. We got this small SBA loan.
Luck would have it that the perfect location was available, but a dilapidated old spot that they couldn't keep tenants in. The college concepts would come and go, and the realtor believed and they believed that I would make it a success and wanted long-term rent for his client. And we were able to go in, and it was dilapidated. We would do most of the work ourselves on the place and renovate it to a cool little hangout, which looks exactly the same.
The partners almost called their chicken joint Sockeyes in honor of their salmon fishing days, until a friend wisely suggested naming it after Graves' dog, a yellow Labrador named Raising Cane, which is a southern expression that means to cause a ruckus.
When we finally got the store open, I remember we were going on no sleep. And I think we opened like at 9 p.m. It was a really soft opening. We told some friends and family. And our first late night rush either happened that night or the next night, and it was slammed.
When we got the first financials after the first month, we made $30, right? But I mean, $30 meant we got to pay everybody, my crew, my vendors, my rent. I'm like, this is gonna work.
We celebrated at the end of the night by drinking some beer, probably stuff that, we couldn't get away with now, or you shouldn't do. But we did what it took. We're constantly giving free food away to the employees that work that late, and we were also making it fun.
Were you able to keep early employees maybe longer because it was a fun place to work?
Yeah, absolutely. So it helped galvanize our culture in the first Raising Cane's, right? I hired a great original crew, and man, they were great kids. I mean, I was a kid.
Damn, bro. Just imagine being the OG Cane's crew, bro. Just imagine them watching this right now, just like the OG Kane. Oh my God,
Dude, I was just out of college, and having fun at work. I saw the difference that made in our customer service, and that pride of serving that perfect chicken finger box to every customer that comes through. When we established that culture, that vibe, when there's good music playing and the crew members are smiling and you can tell they're genuinely happy, that attracted more good crew members that wanted to come work with us. They're like, I want to be a part of that. They look at other restaurant jobs around town, and some of them just weren't pleasant places to work. They wanted to come for Raising Cane's.
Graves showed me the first Raising Cane's location for a look at the vibe that really hasn't changed in the last 30 years.
Here's my baby, the mothership. What do you think?
It's unlike any Cane's that I've ever been to.
Yes.
It's smaller and but it's you can tell it was the start.
Yeah, cheap
Heart of something. That's
Yeah, right. And so it was just like shotgun shack, right? Yeah, Louisiana have these deals. The whole idea is like shoot a shotgun from the front door out the back door, right? And so it was just a shack. And so it had all this different paneling on the walls. So it had been 100 different things. It was at one point it was like a arcade. So we found this old paneling that was rainbow painted for the arcade. Started pulling all that off, and then I found this layer of all these old like cypress, plank boards that went, and I was able to put together just enough
for this stretch.
Because the rest of them were like all battered and ripped up and things like that. So I was able to do this stretch, and this side got down to this stucco, right? And then so one little part had brick down there, and I got a crowbar, and I started, giving it character all the way down. I was like, "This looking good," till I got down to this, and I'm like, "Wait, what's behind that?" And so I uncovered this old bread mural from a bakery in the 1930s in Louisiana, right? And literally, I was like, I took it as a sign, that it was great. And so literally took this exact design, and we had the big wall outside that was just big and bare, and we said, let's do a Canes mural the exact same way. It means something, right? And the colors were great. All that just fell into place for us, right?
Damn.
And so we did all the work ourselves. Because I didn't have much money to put on expenses of things. So like we built like this old bar here where people could come up. Mind you, this is like it's almost 29 years ago, right?
Yeah.
We built
Still going strong.
And if you worked here and helped me, you got to put your name in here, right? So I put Graves 8/10/96, right?
Damn.
1996. We did it, and people would come and put their names. Different parts of the deal. Broyles, Coulard. There's different names around. That was kind of how they could put their mark.
Who
on
were
it.
all these guys? Were they early
friends and
early
family,
helpers?
Yeah, they just were willing to come out
The OG Canes crew. That's what we like to see.
and help out. Like, we can't pay you anything. They said, no, we want to be a part of it. We'll help you out, And people can learn to paint. They can learn to do all these things. And to go and, look, if you don't have the money or a tight budget, shoestring budget, it's like you learn how to do these things. So I'm an auger, literally borrowed a friend's mother's tractor, went through the property, shredded it out. I couldn't do the concrete, laid the concrete, but we helped finish and do everything to where we could save money. And look, for us, we wanted to keep it classic. Old cypress, Louisiana. These are old reclaimed cypress boards, right? We did that, and then we had
what's the deal with the disco ball? I gotta hear about the disco ball.
Well, we had a skylight, and I'm like, what do we do with a skylight? And so we're like, well, we'll finish it out with the wood. Let's put something fun up there. Like, what do you want to do? And someone said, hey, let's do stained glass. We're like, that could be fun. And someone said, hey, how about a disco ball?
And so you'll find a lot of this stuff in every Canes, right? You got a mural, you got a disco ball.
Velvet Elvises on the wall. We got an artist, special Velvet Elvises. All those things are carried over, and it means something. That's our crew.
Within just a few moments of being at the first Raising Cane's location, you could tell that Todd is in and out all the time and very involved in the detail of his business.
Ever since I've been to Cane's, he's always stopped in the restaurants and high-fiving the crew, seeing the crew, checking in, and he really cares about
restaurant partner Raising Cane's. Okay.
Everything that they're thinking about, and anytime that we give him ideas, he really takes those things to heart.
My amazing crew here.
You've got the hardest job. You have to run the Raising Cane's down the street from this guy's house. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mothership. It's the best. It's just like, this is our crew, man. We love it. Everybody doing good? Look, original fry line here, right? All this. How's it going? Give you an elbow. How are you? Great. And so what's important on this, you see this whole line? Yeah. You can see.
That dude's just like, man, I'm just at work, man.
Orders come in. Everything comes from the freshly grilled toast all the way down through chicken and fries. They make it and they get it out the door. Because you have this system going you know exactly what orders are coming in, so you cook to order. If it's busy, you cook a little ahead. If it's slow, then you pull it back. But you can see all this when you're cooking. If you're a restaurant guy, this is heaven. It's not multiple lines going to see all this.
You got nothing under a heat lamp. Everything is just
straight through.
Simple and
simple
fresh
process
and right out the door. Nothing in here comes in frozen. You get raw chicken in here.
That's right. Yeah.
And they bread it here.
Yeah.
Deep fried here.
Hand battered and breaded. And look, it's milk and egg batter. It's top quality flour with the special.
We like that. None of that fake random stuff. I just want some chicken. I just want some fried, simple chicken. I can respect that.
Special seasonings we have in there, all herbal, all great. And it's been the same way we've done it from day one. The new challenges with supply chain is open up in different regions, making sure it all tastes the same.
I got to do my very own celebrity-style Raising Cane's drive-through takeover. How full do you go?
All the way to the top.
All the way.
There we go, nice, good.
And then we just cap this.
So you just grab a lid there.
First lemonade.
He's pretty good, huh?
Oh my god, he's about to hire the guy. Oh my god.
All right, 1 minute. See, it's served fresh.
Gotta be as fresh as possible.
And you want that food coming in fresh like that, right?
Details guy, I get it.
Yeah, it's 100%, man. You rather be waiting a little bit for your food than your food waiting on you, right?
Full disclosure, I've had Raising Cane's before, but it's a little different when you're eating it across the table from the billionaire who created the brand.
How's the tenders?
They're as good here as anywhere. That's for sure.
And you're not a slaw guy, huh? I'm not either. That's why at Cane's you can trade out your slaw for extra
That is
fries.
so interesting.
So
You put four
sauce.
things on the menu, and one of them you don't really care for.
I don't care for.
That's
now,
pretty funny.
Coleslaw people say it's good. I'm like, no slaw's really good to me.
Todd, are you awake? One thing Graves is great at is getting celebrities to promote Raising Cane's. There are a lot of celebrities that, pitch Raising Cane's.
I'm sorry that I'm not talking, guys. I'm just so goddamn interested in this goddamn story. It just has me like, yo.
Your marketing budget has to be enormous. How does that come about? And how much do you spend on that? And how do you see the role of marketing and promoting this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, marketing is so important, right? Best form of marketing is solid operations, right? You can market something, if you can't deliver on a great product or service, then you won't make it, right? But like with quick service food, it's top of mind is the key. Like there's a lot of good places to go eat. You want Cane's to be in their head when they're making a decision. General broad advertising, look, just quick service restaurants, total budget off sales is 3 to 4%. That's how much money we put into to marketing to keep our brands top of mind. I like to tie into celebrities who are Caniacs, ones that love Cane's, ones that I have a relationship with, so it's that organic connection. And people can see whether it's a paid endorsement or it's somebody that really loves the brand. And I love to tie into their fans, right? And it's whether it's sports or entertainers, artists, their massive fan base. They might already be a fan of Cane's and go to Cane's, but once their person that they're a fan of is like totally into Cane's, it builds long-term loyalty.
Yeah, and so how do you find those celebrities that are Caniacs?
For me, it's got to be organic. It's got to be people that love Cane's, and I don't like going around hitting up people to come endorse a product that they might not be crazy about. So just about all of our relationships we have with celebrities is coming from, hey, they wanted to meet the Cane's guy. They love Cane's, they heard the story and wanted to meet, and the ones we make friends with and do it after that period, we make a good friendship, and that's when we'll go and we'll do a deal if it makes sense for both parties. Like I became friends with Post Malone, and Post loved Cane's. He grew up on it, loved it, and he wanted to meet the Cane's guy. So his people called my people. Post would like to invite Todd out and his family out to see a show, and come out and do it. So I went and watched a show, and then we met afterwards and enjoyed. Then we went back to his house, and we became friends that way. And so it was several years that we had the friendship. And then we started talking about doing something together. And, and it's like, well, what do you want to do? He's like, man, I want to own some Cane's. I just want my own Cane's. I was like, well, that's a fun idea. I said, but, to actually own it, you're not going to be frying chicken just like I'm not going to be up on stage with you. How about we do some Post Malone restaurants where you want to put them? You design it exactly how you want it. And let's have fun with that. And then we'll split the profits of the restaurant, which worked out great. Post got to design some crazy restaurants. He was like, what's the budget? I'm like, nothing. You do whatever you want to do. So you create this big peak restaurant with pneumatic ping pong balls going through it and all this merch and memorabilia, made it really special. And we wanted his ideas and from his team versus us go in and think what we're going to do. And it came something really special. And now like people will do layover flights in Dallas and in Salt Lake. They do later flights a day just to be able to go to that Raising Cane's, Post Malone Raising Cane's, and then fly wherever they're going. Crazy.
And so those are really organic.
Damn.
Organic,
I like that, bro. As an entrepreneur myself who wants to start his own clothing business, I can't even goddamn speak. Who wants to start I want to start my own clothing business. I hope to have the same type of mindset as this guy. This is a good example of a CEO that everybody should take a look at. I like this guy.
All these, I mean, because the list of celebrities is very, very long. I mean, it's a lot of people. So you really are, these are people that are mostly coming to you.
It came from knowing each other and the friendship behind it. Then it comes out organic, cool, real, genuine, which that's what consumers are looking for. Real things, not corporate paid gigs. Right?
Yeah, and do you think that's a big part of the success is that all the branding and everything feels that it's real, and it doesn't feel like it's coming from a marketing agency.
Yeah, absolutely. People today can see through corporate things so quickly. It's a turn off to them, and then the brand's not special anymore, right? You have these celebrities around that are doing cool things and working hard and doing good for community and things like that. It really...
Yeah, it's this thing where like companies in all genres, they start to blur the line between being like in touch with their community and then just like out of touch. Like they're like in a whole nother dimension.
Your brand. I'll give you the $150,000 and I'll go 25%.
Todd, you animal. Why would you undercut me like that? You're a guest.
You were on Shark Tank, you were a guest shark for a couple episodes. What was that experience like? Why did you decide to do it? And, how was it?
Shark Tank, when they called and they wanted me on the show, I was thrilled because I'm a fan of the show, right? I love entrepreneurship. I love how the sharks do that. I like the values they teach and things like that. So I'm like, look, plus it'd be a lot of fun. I always thought about it, right? I'm like, man, it'd be really fun to be on Shark Tank. And, I did it for several reasons. One, promote the business, always promoting Raising Cane's. Two is like really helping out entrepreneurs, and so whether I was going to invest or not, I could help and give good advice, from the things I know, and they could pick that up. And then, three, I wanted to go do some deals and compete with sharks. The producers told me, like, you're going to have to interrupt. And it took me, I'm on the South, you don't do that. It took me a couple of pitches and I couldn't get my stuff in. And then I started just interrupting in the middle of the sentence and nobody cared. And isn't that wild? But it was all great. We got to battle for some deals. I was able to do several deals.
What do you see as your role in all this? We've got the Cane shirt on now. I see, you've changed into some corporate branding. And what's your role now at Cane's? How much are you overseeing the day-to-day? How much of it is, sort of playing the chicken man, the main guy?
Yeah, so, my role now is to make sure the company is like living our values, right? Our non-negotiables, right? And so like one of the non-negotiables is always you.
Yeah, because he's already done and continued to done so much for Cane's as like a company, as a CEO, to be honest, where like he's literally getting to that point where he can now transfer it over to someone else who wants to, because like how I view it is that each CEO has a level they can reach before like they cap and they've given that company everything that they like have, you know what I mean? And like it's time for a new CEO with maybe different values but like the same values as the other CEO to come in and then like bring that new level to the company, you know what I mean? But also we want to stay close to our original values. And then I feel like he's reaching that point.
The highest quality ingredients. They'll never be touched. We could save so much money, make so much more money for the short period. If I have to lower it on quality, that's never going to happen. Taking care of our crew, making sure the culture's there, making sure we're bringing in people from outside the company that share are aligned with our vision and values, and then people from within have growth opportunities, right? So it's scaling that same culture we've had since this location almost 30 years ago goes to every location.
After touring the kitchen and digging into a box combo, Graves offered to take me to Cane's first headquarters, a small apartment next door to the restaurant with an eagle-eye view of the drive-thru.
So here's my apartment when I was building the original Raising Cane's, and I wanted it because I could look over and see what was going on if I got a break.
Yeah.
And all this stuff is either original or it was recreated exactly like it was. I bought it later because we were starting to grow, and I thought it was important to show, hey, this is our first corporate office up here. That's why I had to move the bed in the living room, right? Because everybody needed to work, and I closed the restaurant. I get out at like 5 in the morning, so I had to sleep. And at 7, somebody was coming in here to do payroll or do whatever. So I put this all up here, but classic, right? Old TVs, VCR, old movies, old pictures. And I never thought these pictures later would be part of the lore, but it worked out.
Do you just
The
tend to keep
Cane's
things?
lore.
You tend to keep pictures and mementos and stuff,
mementos
document everything just
especially.
as a person, or you just kind of like that?
Yeah, and I didn't know, but I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I got track with it, because I never thought we'd be telling the story later, right? I thought I'd have one restaurant, so it just means something to me, and now it means something to thousands of restaurant managers and people coming through, It really helps to tell the story. So bedroom in here, and then we converted the kitchen area into one of our offices, right? Old, big computer screens here back when they're big, original type business cards.
Sure.
Todd Graves, right? Didn't even have a title. Now I'm on his fucking cashier. And then these inspirational quotes we put up, it kind of kept me going when things were, really tough starting,
Everything from Einstein and Virgil to, is TG you?
So this is a TG original. Nothing ever happens unless someone pursues a vision fanatically.
Yeah.
All right? That fanaticism is what kept me going and made it happen.
Wow. This is
original stuff. We drank, Dixie beer. And if you step back to which was originally going to be the bedroom, right? Going through, well, it was a good conversion into an office, right?
Yeah.
So we could have
this is
3 people working on computers, old classic. Like, I show managers this today, and they're like, "What is this?" I'm like, "A Rolodex. You used to like put names in here. That's how you kept up. You didn't have a cell phone to have numbers in, right?"
No.
And classic stuff. We had to recreate.
Ain't no way. Managers, so like, managers now are probably like people in my age. Like, probably people like 2000s, after 2000, like 2005, 2006. Well, that's if they have managers in their 20s. They're asking, yo, what's that deck that has letters on them and numbers?
Then some of it I had in storage, but my mom gave me this desk, right? She was like, "Hey, you can use the desk, I don't need it." She had a nicer one. She was like, "You can have this." And literally here, on the wall we put up, this is a typical day. I think it's important all these managers come through here and our people that work in our restaurant support office to see, hey, look, this is where we started, this is our roots, we're growing, but we're still these type people.
Yeah. And so when would you move out of here?
Oh, so I moved out a couple years after opening, because I would literally go to bed some nights and I'd wake up in the middle of the night hearing an order and get frantically, like, be frying chicken in my sleep, or like, wait, I'm not taking the drive-through order. You talk about some anxiety.
Yeah.
This thing goes. We're open every night till like 3:30 in the morning, right? And so then I moved down the street, a little rental, just to get a little peace when I actually wasn't working.
Yeah, sure.
History is important to keep in your company, and I really encourage people as they're growing, document it. Keep things that are special, because things are going to change and you always have that history.
Yeah.
Shortly after opening the first Raising Cane's, Graves and Sylvie set their sights on the other side of the LSU campus.
There was a piece of property on the other side of campus, and this would be, a challenge, or we thought would be our next, milestone, because we would start getting people, hopefully, that aren't students, families.
We got mom and dad driving through the drive-through when they're coming home from work. We had business people, men and women, came in during lunch. It was a whole different crowd than we had on top of the campus, students coming to that location.
I gravitated to more of the purchasing and numbers. Todd gravitated to more of the marketing and some of the operational scheduling, but we were both spending most of our time slinging chicken.
And then I got the bug. I was like, this isn't just a college thing. This could be everywhere.
That time I was young. There were things I wanted to do besides, sell chicken fingers. And I always had this dream to go to Silicon Valley.
Craig said, hey man, can we talk? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, can we go out to my truck? I said, sure. We went out to his truck. He said, man, this is gonna probably hit you like a ton of bricks, but man, whenever you can buy me out, I want to get out.
It was one of the hardest things I ever had to do.
Damn.
I could tell he was shocked.
And I was like, why? And he just said, man, I'm not a fry cook like you. He said, I love the part of starting the business. I love the business side about it. He goes, but pretty much what we do always is frying chicken and running the restaurants, and that just doesn't make me excited.
It was extremely hard conversation, because we've been best friends since we were 6th grade. We talked about doing this. Things were moving so quickly. I knew that things were that he was probably going to want to take it to a level, and I didn't share that same passion at that time.
You know, we didn't have a lot of money. We worked the buyout. Craig stayed on for a while for me to get coverage with other managers and things like that. And it really taught me a really good lesson I'm able to carry on to business students and things like that. I'm like, if you're not passionate about what you do, it doesn't matter the success. Well, now we have 2 restaurants and both of them are working. They're both working. We're making money, but he wasn't passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, you won't be happy.
Graves bought out his 20.
That's so true. Damn. So he bought him out. Yo, but bro, think about it right now, right? But damn. Think about all the money he missed out on. He had to think, damn. At a certain point, he had to realize, damn, I missed out on a lot of bread.
Year-old partner for 6 figures. If Sylvie would have remained a 50-50 partner, he could be worth north of $10 billion today.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. I know. I get what he's saying, right? You know, if it's not for you, you're not happy, or if you're not happy about what you do, then you won't do it. But at the same time, you also have to take into consideration the other benefits. Even though you may not like what you do, or maybe you do like it, but it's also the main benefit and the other benefits that come with those benefits, even if you do or don't like it. You know what I mean? So it's bro, you would have been worth 10 bill, but you said, nah, I want to go to Silicon Valley. That shit actually pisses me off, but I understand where he's coming from.
I was by myself for the first time. I went through a period, about 30 days. I literally remember it being about a month's time. That was kind of like walking around I felt I had a helmet on my head, or I was underwater. I was and I think it was just that being scared, being by yourself and man, and this but you want to do this, but man, why would Craig get out? And man, then you cover another shift, and I wanted to see Gwen and I can't, and things like that. But after about 30 days, I came out of it. It was just a deal, and I was like, no, I know I want to do this, and I know I want to grow. And that's where I got that vision. I'm like, hey, let's grow this thing, but not just throughout Baton Rouge, not throughout the state. Let's grow it anywhere I can do it, Raising Cane's. And that kept me going at that point. I was like, man, I really want to turn this into something special.
So how were you able to sort of get so huge?
I had strategy to grow both company restaurants and franchise restaurants. We had really good franchise groups, people I've known for a long time, and that was a great way to grow. They were using their cash and banking to grow my brand, and great training and great support from us. Over time, though, the franchising was something that I wasn't crazy about. It's a good way to grow with other people's money and go and do, and they were great franchisees. These were great people, and they operate their restaurants well. We just operated them better. That's where I said, hey, let's be a company restaurant model. Went back, talked to everybody, gave them good buyout offers. Everybody was great with it. They made good money. I was able to offer higher than what normal, valuations are for franchises, because they were bringing into the parent company, obviously higher valuations. So they did great. They were all very happy. And then we continue with growing company restaurants in the United States.
So how do you maintain that, founder attention to detail and care? It's easy to do at one store, and you're able to do it at 2, and but as you get up to 900 and beyond 1,000, I mean, how there has to be a huge challenge to keep the personal touch at that scale.
It is, and really that's my job, is to make sure we keep our culture, we keep our passion, we keep our great operations, keep our great credible food, and keep our great crew members, right? And so the way you scale that, and in my experience, is you get great people that are aligned to the exact same values.
In 2017, Graves brought on a co-CEO, AJ Kumaran, the former COO of a franchisee of Hard Rock Cafes and other U.S. concepts in the Middle East and India. Kumaran keeps an eye on Cane's daily operations, while Graves obsesses over motivating his 70,000 crew members and promoting the brand.
Todd, when he thinks about life, when he thinks about opportunity, he thinks tenfold and up in the sky, and there is no limit as to where he sees.
That dude is making bread. Round of applause for the co-founder. He's making bread.
Is it right? So that is, for me as a person, that works really well. It inspires me. It aligns with my values. So really allows me to do the same thing.
So this is a guy who's as rich as Jerry Jones and Rupert Murdoch, but he's just really not the type of person who could ever cash out his $22 billion and just go sit on a beach somewhere.
This industry generally has been plagued a little bit about...
Because if that happens, if he does that, Canes will forever lose its touch. If so, because think about it, right? I feel like it eventually will happen unless he gives it to, passes it on through the family or whatever the case may be. But if he does that, I guarantee you Canes will lose his touch. I feel like Publix is a good example of what Canes is in. But I think Canes will be able to resolve that from happening. Because Publix, right, when it first started, it was a place where, we're about our family. It's like literally like the epitome of Canes. We care about our people. We care about our customers. If we care about our customers, then our stakeholders and investors will be fine. And then because ever since the original CEO for Publix died, the company's whole focus has changed. When Publix first started out, I'm pretty sure it was pretty cheap, but you also have to take inflation and all that stuff into consideration. Nowadays, you could fucking go to Publix and majority of grocery stores, and you could put $200-$300 down in your cart, and that wouldn't even fill a fucking quarter of the cart. Let's be real here. And when I was working at Publix, I only worked at one Publix for 2 years. I don't know if that's for every single Publix, but the Publix I worked at, I had good managers, I had good people, but it was more like, it wasn't that homey feel that you get from this company, from Canes. You know what I mean? It's like I'm working with a bunch of people that just don't like their job. But I don't know how it is now. That was a couple of years ago.
Founders or owners who want to leave the business, then cash out. You hear these things all the time. That is not what Todd wants to do.
I'm not public. I don't have investors. My original preferred shareholders have a little small percentage of the business. So I don't need to answer to anybody. I need to answer to my crew and my customers. And having that luxury, which I really feel is a luxury, is I can make the right decisions for the business. I don't have to raise prices. I don't have to worry about quarterly earnings so that shareholders are like, where's my return on this investment? I can keep prices the same. I can raise.
That's so true. By not creating a stock, he's essentially his own stock. He is basically the shareholder, the CEO, the customer, and the boss all in one. Because when you start a company, right, when you start a company, or when you have a company, when you have a stock, the people who determine your budget and then the way your company flows are your shareholders, depending on how much they own. It's really the shareholders sometimes that run the company instead of the CEO. And it's honestly sad. And I like to see this. This is honestly a beautiful thing.
Wages when other people don't raise wages, because I can make those decisions for the right reasons. And when you make decisions for the right reasons, business-wise, you do better. That's what I've seen throughout my career.
What would it take for you to, sell the business? So all this private equity activity, so I'm sure the numbers are staggering. So
it's crazy. It's crazy numbers. Nothing. You couldn't get me to sell it unless ultimately that was a better plan for people, right? And so for me, if I could sell it now, it's worth whatever billions. It's crazy numbers, and the valuations are huge right now. If it was the time to do that for people, put that in a fund and help people is. But me continue to grow it, I can look at the future and say, well, it's going to be worth double. God willing, we keep going what we're doing. Then the kids can take it and keep the value of the company. Then they can triple and quadruple and turn into something bigger and bigger.
Beautiful.
That's doing beautiful. Better for people, right? Yeah. So that's a strategy. So as long as that's the way we're going to keep going, then no reason and no motivation for me to sell.
Even though it's a chicken finger company, Todd loves to talk about the business in terms of helping people. Now, I know driving around Baton Rouge, I see the Raising Cane's dog park, and Raising Cane's is on the name of, everything around here. But in a lot of the other communities, you're a pretty heavy presence. So, how much are you putting into that, and what do you tend to do?
When Raising Cane's goes into a community and goes into, like, let's say, a specific trade area in a community in large cities, our job is to go in and be involved with everything that's doing good. And that means from, a bigger thing, maybe sponsoring and doing and helping the university, down to if the Glee Club has a fundraiser event that we can send a gift basket to help raise money.
Cane's sponsors local sports teams, partners with celebrities, charities, and jumps in when communities are in need. Like in Texas, where flooding killed more than 100 people in July 2025, and Cane's donated $1 million toward relief efforts.
I remember, telling Todd, man, that was good. And his answer was not that, oh, yeah.
Bro, there is nothing I can say. This is just such a good goddamn documentary where it's like, silence just speaks for itself. Silence just speaks for itself. WCEO.
That was good. His answer was, man, I can't wait one day when we can give tens of millions of dollars every day back to different causes.
I had this great, this dream of, like, someday I'll be able to put $1 billion into a fund to help people. And I was like, well, we're going to be able to do that. 2 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion. And this number keeps growing as it goes along. And you can impact in a big way with dollars as you go along. And that's my dream. And it's my wife's dream and the kids' dream.
Cane's is a huge American success, but the chain only has about 50 international locations right now. Graves is hoping to conquer the world next.
I think we're just getting started. The best days and the bigger days and all these things are still way ahead of us. I mean, we haven't seen there yet. We're just about 900 restaurants in the United States, a few of them in the Middle East. That's all we are. And we are planning to enter Europe very quickly. And then further on, world is our playground. And we're really excited to be able to take this journey across the world.
To me, being all over the world means we need to push ourselves and constantly push ourselves to grow, but not grow ourselves too quickly where we don't have great restaurants and great people, but push yourself.
Nothing surprises me with Todd. Being the visionary he is, it's going to take a lot to prove him that he's wrong as far as his vision. And when he sees it, he knows how to implement it. He knows how to actually put together a plan, which was always the fascinating part with me.
Graves is one of those billionaires who's always on the move. He spends about half his time away from Baton Rouge, visiting stores and palling around with celebrities to promote the brand. But also, he loves to spend his money on fun stuff.
So this is
That's a
my tree house.
I had a tree house growing up. This is a tree house.
Yeah. This is too. So we did tree houses too as a kid, right? And so when I saw literally Treehouse Masters done, I'm like, man, I got to get them out to come do this.
Is
great
that how
tree
it
house.
started? You saw the show?
Was a fan of the show, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so literally we came out, and Pete came out here for like 6 hours, and we showed him all the yard. He saw the tree. He said, man, I know this tree will be the perfect place to put in a big tree house. And so the producer's like, okay, great, but guys, this is the last show of the year. We only have 3 weeks to build it. We need to be really simple. And Pete was like, yeah. Producer left. He's like, what do you want, man? I'm like, man, I want to do like an Ewok bridge going across. I want to do several levels. I want a bedroom. I want a hangout room. I want to do all these towers and fun stuff. And he was like, yeah. He's writing all this down and going. When we bought the house and the land, we saw this old structure here. This was actually done by an LSU professor. He was engineering, and he took old core samples from concrete parking lots, old parking lots broken up, old cypress trees that he built the side with, and then he literally put asbestos roofing on top of it, put a fireplace. And Pete loved it. He loved it. He loves history, right? So he said, I'm going to do the pods for the treehouse in this same to respect the original builder of the area. So we can hang out here, have a fire, or go upstairs and watch the ball game. Would you like to see?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Come on, let me show you.
Yeah.
How about it, huh?
Spacious. Yeah.
Classic room in here, huh?
Yeah. Wow. This is This is a tree home.
Tree home.
Yeah, it really is.
You know,
Man.
being kids, you know, it was like having your own tree house. And so literally wanted that same feeling right outside the backyard. But I wanted it to be Louisiana and, you know, encapsulate what we're special for. And so.
Damn, that junk got AC. Oh, hell yeah.
So here we know we have great like cypress woods. So Pete went and got all this old cypress and remilled it to make this pattern on it and did it. He got this pine.
Yes. Hello. Hi, sir.
What up? What don't shut off?
That does not shut off. So, damn,
Why is it so hot in here?
oh my bad, I have my heater on.
Your fucking heater? Somebody's gonna trip. What do you mean it don't shut off? Shuts off?
That. It does that. Yeah, it does that. Where like it'll stay on. Yeah, and then I have to flick around with it. I don't know if that's something I should be worried about or.
It's off now. Usually these switches will get really dirty.
Yeah.
And if you like turn it on and off like that, like a whole bunch,
Yeah.
usually you can get it to working. Cause it's just a switch, it's this top one right here.
Okay.
See how I got it to working?
Yeah.
See how I turned it on and off real fast, like 5 or 6 times?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it does it again, just see what I mean?
Yeah, it's
You just several times and it'll work. And if it does that, just break the motherfucker.
Okay.
You just go, I don't know, it broke, I don't know, and then I can go get you a new one. But otherwise, they get pissy when I start spending money.
Okay.
So,
And then also, I have the light bulb right there, but like.
Globe?
Yeah, the globe, like it, let's see, here it is, right? So the fan was like, when I had it spinning, I noticed that it was making a weird noise.
yeah, it clicks off the chain. Stick it up there out of the way somewhere, just leave it in there.
Okay, yes, sir.
Here, sign the bottom of that on the bottom left.
Okay.
Yes, sir? Yeah. Okay. Well, it's on his lane. Okay. No, it's some kind of cooking unit. I don't need your email and all that other stuff, buddy. Yep, it's gonna take it off of us. If it's beyond that, then we're out. Well, I don't know.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, buddy. You have a good one, all right?
You too, sir. Oh my god. God damn, they're coming through my room. They've been coming through my room all day. Holy hell. Yeah, holy hell, they've been coming through my room all day.
Wood here from an old sewing factory. So it was old pine from like the old sewing. They put oil in and went on the floors, and he did that. He pulled this from Hurricane Katrina, salvage from old houses, so repurposing woods and things like that. He was so into it. And it's like, well, you have to be hanging out, maybe drinking beers, watching the game with your friends. He's like, we got to put in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, you can do that? Yeah, there's a fully functioning bathroom in here.
Damn.
So,
That is fascinating.
look, man, it's like when you do so much work, and work comes down to, and business comes down to fundamentals and all these things, it's like, it's fun to have things that are magical in the world. Like, do a treehouse. Let it inspire you. I can come out here, I can think, clear my head. It makes me better at raising canes. When I opened my eyes and looked up, fireworks went off, the angels were singing, man. I'm like, Pete nailed this Louisiana look.
Did they pay for it? You had to pay for it.
No, you got to pay for it.
You still have to pay for it?
You gotta pay for it.
How much did you put into a tree? What's a tree home cost?
I think back then this was years ago, right? In the inflationary period, it was probably like $350,000 or $400,000. Here's the fun part.
And this is 12 years ago or so?
Yeah, at least, right? And so
the fun part about it is with Canes, right? Then you get this marketing exposure, right? And he's like, the producer's like, hey, they won't be really tying the Canes, but Pete loved Canes. So he's eating Canes on site, he's drinking, he goes to the original location. So people see it. They still run in reruns around the world. So people see it, they see the Canes. So actually it turned out to be a great marketing return.
Got some of your money back.
Yeah. No, I would say we made a return on that original money.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all the things I do, with celebrities and different things, these investments that we make into things that literally the marketing return on is great. I'll do Super Bowl suites. I'll do like 3 Super Bowl suites or F1 suites, and I'll invite these famous celebrities, friends of mine, to come out and enjoy. We have it all set up for them. I don't pay for people to come, but they come, and then just, hey, if you don't mind, do a social media post about this would be great. And my marketing return has been about 4 times on that investment. Multi-million-dollar investment for these events, but the marketing return's 4x.
Wow. And so have you had any celebrities in the treehouse?
Absolutely. From Shaq, and Shaq did his own treehouse with Pete, to Joe Burrow, to Post, all these guys. When they come in town, we got to come hang out at the treehouse. Snoop Dogg in here. Maybe we smoked a little bit in here. I don't know, before his show, Yeah. It's fun. You can go to houses. You can go to someone's houses. You want to see their home, but like there ain't a lot of tree houses like this you can go hang out.
Yeah. Big deck out here.
Yeah, and I got a swinging bridge. I want to take you across.
Yeah. I saw the bridge.
It's like Ewok style.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Look at this, huh?
Oh, yeah.
And look, you can put as many people on this thing as you want. I said, is there a number limit, weight limit? Because you can put as many.
I don't know about that with that hole right there. I don't know about that with that goddamn hole right there, man.
People that can fit in this thing.
Wow. That's how many people do you think you've ever had on this?
A bunch,
It's a little
birthday parties, things like that.
That's a lot of confidence.
I don't know about that.
So, a young Todd Graves was running around the woods building tree houses, and all these years later, you have this. So, have you achieved all of your treehouse dreams?
I'm blown away. I'm getting to live a dream, and I'm so proud of what I've been able to accomplish. But I've been so blessed, and I think what it really comes down to is I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for everything that I'm able to do, and because I'm grateful, that goes off of being grateful for my crew and my customers coming in to support us, and that's really what Cane's culture is all about. And I think you gotta keep setting your dreams higher and higher, right? To keep going, keep growing, keep building, right? And so what we're able to give back now is small in comparison to what we can do in the future, but keep growing, right? So my dreams are just keep getting bigger and bigger, and that's going into a top 10 restaurant company in the United States, someday the world, and just keep going and just keep building and keep doing better things for people.
So Graves is someone who seems to have achieved all of his dreams, but there's still one lingering question. So you got a B- on the original paper. What would you give yourself now?
I would probably give it an A+. Like I put my heart and soul into that thing, but that's what I would give.
W, that was a really good video. All right, that was a good video. All right, I'm getting tired, and I actually need to eat something. So thank you, chat. Thank you for everybody watching. Thank you for my YouTube couches that are currently watching this or maybe watching this. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for tuning in for the live stream, and I hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving weekend, your Thanksgiving day and weekend. And I will maybe stream tomorrow, but thank you for hopping in the stream. And goddamn, why am I still talking? Peace.